Hello?
Hello?
Yeah?
Who is this?
Who are you trying to reach?
What number is this?
What number are you trying to reach?
I don't know.
I think you have the wrong number.
Do I?
Hey, it happens, man. I gotta go, okay?
Wait, don't hang up.
What's up?
You like scary movies?
Do I? Dude, I love scary movies. I could talk scary movies all day.
What's your favorite scary movie?
That's a loaded question, man, because there are so many great scary movies out there. I cannot pick one favorite. I love so many. They're all so different. But you know what? I'm actually about to do a stream where I'm going to talk all the Scream movies. Do you like Scream?
I like that movie. It was scary.
The first three are great. The rest suck, I'm telling you. But you know what, man? I really got to go. It's been fun talking to you. I got to head out and do this, and maybe we'll talk again sometime later. I got to go.
Listen, you little bitch.
Crazy dude. I like that guy. Don't laugh at me too bad. I threw that together at like midnight. I was tired.
What are you talking about? That was awesome. I was in there at the very end.
Oh, it was bad. It was bad. I threw that.
Hello, Greg.
What's up?
Do you like foreign films?
It depends. Is there boobs in these foreign films?
Yes.
Well, then I'm in. What do we got?
Emmanuel.
Ooh, Emmanuel. Is that the Emmanuel in space?
Sure.
All right, welcome and hell everybody in the chat.
Wouldn't that be funny though? He asks a question and you get it right. We've never really seen him actually get it right in any real way.
Nobody's ever. Yeah, it's like who was the killer Friday the 13th? Jason. Wrong. And nobody's ever really. What if you called somebody that got really stumped and he's like, shit, what do I do?
What's the name of the doctor in Halloween?
It's Dr. Sam Loomis.
That's right. Shit. I guess you win.
Yeah. But welcome everybody in the chat. We have Samurai Vader said, did I win? So I don't know. Kasparis area said Rakita has been yes, I saw that. Nick Rakita has been terminated from YouTube, which is
that's fucked up.
That sucks. Yeah, that's messed up. Yeah, that's not right. Brian Bort says, hail, deleted scenes is here. What's up, deleted scenes?
Jump out on Twitter and tag Team YouTube and tell them to
get him back up.
That's what I do. Is tagged YouTube. Yeah,
it seems to be the only way to get their attention. So,
yep. I hope you feel better. Delete scenes has been ill, but still had to work. Might not be able to get through the whole show, but I'm here. That's okay, man. If you got to go, you got to go. The replay will always be here for you, man. So don't worry about that. What's up, Random Brad? As always, glad to see you here. Joey is here. Scream needs a sequel rant. We're going to be ranting on Scream tonight, trust me.
Oh, Lord.
Because we got stuff to say. We got stuff to say.
Well, I wonder if the fifth party that's supposed to show up will chicken out.
Yes, Justin Proper is supposedly supposed to be here. So
I got a hold of him. He says he's supposed to show up.
Well, he does realize that it's going to be like 4-on-1 with the new film.
I know. If he does show up, I'll probably warn him. I don't know. I think he'll be fine. He'll be fine.
Yeah.
We'll take it easy.
Man.
He's a dead man.
We'll take it easy on him at first.
Oh, fuck that.
No, we're going for blood, man.
He's like the child that I need to make. He reminds me of a son that I need to make tougher, right? Like, I got to give him some tough love.
Tom's got a good point. I'm being a little too nice.
Yes.
Right.
And welcome, Shirley to God. That is my brother. So glad you're here.
He ain't
Aberration.
Heavy. He's your brother, Greg.
He ain't heavy. He's my brother.
He's the better half of Greg.
And then Aberration says, good intro. Glad I was really I could wish I could have edited it better because the little jumps. I was just like tired, and I just came up with the idea last minute. And if I would have
Disney movies. Who
not
killed
really.
Bambi's mother?
The hunter did it with the gun. I saw that movie 20 damn times.
Well, speaking of,
It was man.
they make a reference to Bambi in Scream 4.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. But welcome. I'm glad you guys are here. We've been promising the Scream stream for quite some time, and I think it's time we get it going and have a good one since it's October and everything. Yes, and free key to lots. Hashtag it out. Tag YouTube. Tell everybody. And welcome Kitty Bear, Steve, and Paul. And also share the Scream stream. Hit that like and all that good stuff. Tell your friends because we're going to get into some really great conversation here. Share real quick before we start on the first movie. This is my Scream mask I've had since 1997. This is one of the original Scream masks that they made after the movie was a hit. I've had it forever. It's yellow and it's ripping and it's awesome. So it's really thick too because it's a lot better than a lot of the Scream masks they make today. So I wanted to share that one with you guys.
That's fucking amazing, dude.
Yeah, I dug it out, and that's what
I want that. I want that so fucking bad.
I probably should have wiped this out before I put it on last night to film that.
Dude, I honestly kind of like how messy it is. It kind of shows.
Oh no, it makes it look a lot better. The scarier. I've actually had it in a box for years and years.
Well, it looks like the actual like ghost face from like the original.
It's direct mold from the first movie.
Yeah, that's what makes it. That's what makes it like just as good. Like
I spent some money on this one back in the day,
oh, man,
but I've had it for years. I probably should have wiped it out before I put it on last night because it was. I was like, it was dusty, and I should have like, oh, why didn't I clean it out first?
That's a fucking beauty right there, man.
It is. It's a good one. So as we get started here, how do you guys want to dive into this first movie here? As we get into it,
maybe we can just first talk about how we kind of got into Scream. Yeah, that's good.
That's
segue.
fine.
I don't know.
I tried to find my VHSs, but I think they're up in the attic. I couldn't get to them. So if you brought them, you can flash on your camera real quick. This is Scream 1 4K.
I didn't bring them up tonight since I didn't assume we would be showing.
Yeah, I just grabbed one or two. I don't have them all. I just grabbed like the first one and the 4K part 2.
I grabbed the 3 copies of Scream stuff that I have.
I just brought these because I just figured, I know we're going to talk about them, but I just figured show these real quick. And I didn't get the steelbook, unfortunately. I got this, and your guys' steelbook looks way better than mine.
Yeah, I wanted to get the standard slip, but Best Buy didn't have those available, so I just got the steelbook because that's the only thing they had available for the.
Well, then you guys can trade whenever you meet.
Yeah.
Since you wanted the other one, and
you can trade it. I'll take your steelbook.
Well, you're going to have to pay me $5 since it's an extra $5 for the steelbook.
Yeah, it is. You got a point. Brian Bart. Eventually, we'll get to the. We did Halloween last year. Actually, it wasn't like the whole. Yeah, we didn't do like the whole stream, but we did like. How long did we talk Halloween? Because it was when all the 4Ks came out.
Yeah, so we at least talked the first 3 or whatever it was. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we'll probably do Elm Street and Friday 13th stuff later on. As time goes on.
I'm definitely down doing Friday 13 only because I've seen all those movies already because of the box set. I've only seen the first Halloween. I've only seen the first 3 Nightmare on Elm Streets, and I've only seen the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I've never seen Hellraiser, so I gotta get some homework done.
You get on that, man. And we'll talk them down the road a ways.
I did order Halloween 2 and 3 on 4K for that Spooktober sale.
Oh yeah. That ends tomorrow, by the way, for everybody. The Scream Spooktober sale.
No, last day's Friday. Right?
Oh, Friday. Yes, the 7th. Tomorrow's the 6th. Oh, my ties are off. But anyways, okay, we'll go around the table. Tom, how did you get into Scream, the first Scream?
Well, I was prime age when it came out. I was 16 when the first movie came out. I saw Beavis and Butthead the weekend that Scream opened.
Yeah.
Scream was not a movie I really wanted to see necessarily. I liked horror films and slasher films, but I mean, the trailer looked kind of teeny bopper.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm like, I'm not so sure I want. I mean, Wes Craven directed it, yeah, but what's the stupid masks deal? What's this thing with Drew Barrymore? Like she's a thing all of a sudden. Why? Okay, and then it leaked out pretty early on that she died in the first bit. So I mean, we all knew that going into it.
Yeah.
So I think maybe that was one of the things that kind of enticed us into it, was kind of like, oh, well, that's kind of ballsy. At that point, Craven hadn't done a real good horror movie in a while. I mean, even the ones that he had done were pretty tame. Like, we used to joke when we were younger, like even People Under the Stairs was basically a kid's movie with a few swear words in it.
Yeah.
It really felt like a Goonies movie, really. But ended up seeing it, wasn't sure was going to enjoy it. Me and my buddy did at that time, and we ended up loving it. And we were the guys that were dragging all our friends back to see it every, weekend or whatever. So, we'd show up with the masks and stuff from then on out and everything like that. So yeah, it was one of those things that I experienced what the phenomenon of Scream was, because it didn't open up to big numbers, right?
No, it didn't.
It opened up to $5 million against Beavis and Butthead, which had like a $20-some million opening, which everybody knew was going to happen. And so it was kind of counter programming, but it wasn't. To me, it was like a dumb move because they're the same audience. That's the problem. And when we saw it the next weekend, that was why the movie didn't go down any, which normally back then, you got to give Dimension credit and having a little foresight with this, because whether it was just because they had to and they had no choice to leave it out in theaters, but they didn't pull the movie. It was probably because the movie did stay steady at 5 million for that second weekend. But then after that, it went up to 10 million. And then before you knew it, in like its third or fourth week of release, the movie hit number 1. And that was unprecedented. Like that happens very rarely in history. And so it was literally the definition of a sleeper hit. So like that time, it just took, and then at that point, it just kept playing and playing and playing. It was like at that point, it had no competition until summer, pretty much. And so that's why when the second film came out, it was huge, because it was literally just months away from the movie being out of theaters. The first movie just came out on video. That movie opened up to $60-some million. It was the biggest opening for a horror film at that time. I don't think it's been beaten until recently with Halloween, if I'm not mistaken, or probably one of the Saw movies or something like that. Or maybe one of the Conjuring. But point being, like, it was huge. Like, the second movie was where the phenomenon really kicked it into high gear.
Yep.
And I mean, you had the videos on MTV constantly. I mean, that was like the year of Scream from 96, basically all of 97 was like the year of Scream. It was crazy. Cause that movie came out at the end of 96. And then just like I said, it was like all that year of 97. It was like the hype and that was the beginning of the internet too. So like I was in those forum rooms with a lot of people, debating, is there a third killer? Because we were like, oh, it's Stu and
Billy Loomis.
Billy Loomis couldn't be in the same, they weren't there, so they couldn't have done that and this and that and the other. And there's little things that we were all picking out already. And then, I was also part of the community that when the plot synopsis for Scream 3 or 2 got leaked, famously, and all that kind of shit. So we'll probably get into that later. But anyway, I didn't want to take up so much time here. But yeah, no, Scream was like just one of those movies at the time. And we'll get into how it affected things later on. But it was just a phenomenon.
It was. And I remember I did not get to see it in theaters. I heard it after, the theater had been in there for a while and it was so big. And I was like, what is this movie? And I had to wait till it came out on tape to rent it. And that's why I rented it. And I kept renting it over and over and over. The movie, just like, I don't know what it was. I really latched onto it and I really, really enjoyed it. It really got to me. And I tried to find it, but I don't even know if I still have it. But I could not afford to buy it. As a kid. So I had my friend tape it, do the 2 VCR type thing and make me a copy of it, which I think I might still have somewhere, but I may not. I may have got rid of it. But I wore that thing out, I watched it constantly because that movie, I don't know what it was about that movie. It just caught my attention and it made me go back into so many other horror movies that I maybe was too chicken to watch, So I went back and watched them. And I was 13, I was 13 years old when I saw it. So it was crazy.
Now, Mike, remind me, wasn't Scream the first one a sell-through? For some reason, I remember it being a sell-through because I bought it twice.
I'm not sure about that. I don't
Because
know.
I remember buying it, and then I bought, because they re-released it with the director's cut, and I bought that big fancy box it came in. So I had two copies. I had
covers.
Yeah,
It surprised me if it was it wouldn't surprise me.
I think it was. I think it was one of the first horror movies to ever be a sell-through on video cassette, if I'm not mistaken, when it came out.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
So I remember owning it pretty early on. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember it took me a while to get to the actual the VHS, which I still do have my actual one I bought for the first time, but it's up in the attic.
I bought it on Laserdisc when it came out on video.
Yeah, so that's
and they did the same thing with the Laserdisc with that director's cut, because that's that commentary we still have to this day is from that Laserdisc with Wes Craven.
Yeah,
believe it or not.
Yeah,
yeah, because mid '90s is about when I stopped buying VHS tapes and was just buying Laserdisc exclusively. If a movie was available on Laserdisc. So
cool.
So yeah, your introduction to Scream, Mike. I guess might as well since you have the.
Well, I'd loved horror films since the early '80s. So Scream, when it came out, was just another horror film that was coming out. I was never, and I'm really still not a huge Wes Craven fan, but I think Nightmare on Elm Street and Scream are both masterpieces. They're easily his best two films.
Agreed.
I think everything else he's done is good to mediocre with some really bad stuff thrown in there, but. I don't know. The Hills Have Eyes, I guess. I'll throw that into the upper tier too. But I saw it twice in the theater.
The Hills Have Eyes is a better movie if you watch the alternate ending, in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, you saw it twice in the theater, Mike. But
I saw it twice in the theater. Really, like I said, I think it's. Craven's second best film because I think Nightmare on Elm Street is his.
It's a good argument,
but now my son is a much bigger fan of Scream than I am. In fact, Scream 4 was probably one of the first horror films he ever saw in the theater. I took him to go see Scream 4, and if you share my screen, Greg, I do have something Scream to show off real quick.
You want me to solo out like that?
Yeah.
What do you got?
I've got.
Oh, okay. I see what you want. I thought you wanted to. Okay.
Yeah, that's my son with.
Oh, Nev Campbell. Nice.
Nev Campbell.
That's awesome.
That's from 2019 Horror Hound in Cincinnati. That's the first time he. That's the first time he met her. He met her again in Indianapolis. Well, this was in 2018. He met her again in 2019 in Indianapolis. He actually owns an original Scream 1 sheet with everybody's autograph, every major person from the first movie except for Courtney Cox. He's got Nev, David Arquette, Rose McGowan. He's got Matthew Lillard, Jamie Kennedy, and Skeet Ulrich, all autographed on that. An original one sheet. So he's a much bigger. What's that? He's a much bigger Scream fan than I am. It's his favorite horror franchise. So
this picture has convinced me now that she had a boob job.
Yeah, they do look over there, don't they?
I'm not even kidding.
And she was really sweet both times he met her.
Oh, I'm sure she is, but I'm convinced now.
Yeah,
I wasn't sure when I watched the last movie, but like. After seeing this picture, I'm 100% convinced.
They look a little bigger because after going back and watching all the movies again, yeah, they look bigger. I got to admit, like I said, we're going to get to them. We're going to get to the movies, but I think Scream 2 is where Courtney Cox and Nev Campbell look the best.
Let me tell you what, you can see her boobs, but it's a very quick flash somewhere in the second film. I'm not going to tell anybody where because I'm not that big of a pervert. But I'll tell you, She got Skeeter Teeters in that. Okay, fine. I'll tell you. It's a real quick flash when she falls over and gets up during the dress rehearsal of the play.
Oh
Because of her dress she has
Yeah,
on.
she's basically
It
just wearing
totally
a
falls
yoga.
forward and you can see it all.
Oh.
And there ain't much to
Nice.
hide.
But we actually talked to her at the hotel in 2019 because we Horror Hound in 2019. We went to the Indianapolis show. We were staying at the hotel, and she was actually waiting to check out behind us. So
Oh, that's cool.
we talked to her for a few minutes. That she was very sweet.
You know what's funny about her is I hated her character through the first 3 films. It wasn't until the 4th film when I finally came around to her.
I remember you saying that, yeah.
But the 5th film I can't stand her in. Like
that movie is just
I will say though, if you ever get a chance to meet Matthew Lillard though in person,
I've met him online.
Absolutely do it.
He is a genuinely very awesome dude.
Awesome at conventions. He's a great
sweet.
Like
he's
dude.
a sweetheart, that's for sure. I mean, I hate saying that about a guy because it sounds so like prissy, but no, he was an absolute sweetheart, a darling, one of the most humblest people we ever interviewed. To be honest with you,
and surprisingly, his lines, at least at Horror Hound, his lines were always full because he's just he's
shaggy.
Well, you wouldn't think with the conventions I've gone to where he's at, he's nowhere near the major attraction at those cons, but his line is always full just because of what a nice guy he seems to be. And he really works with the crowd at conventions and everything. He really knows how to work.
He's humble as fuck. Because we had to remind him, dude, you're in Scream, you're in Hackers, and you're in SLC Punk. Plus you're plus you're fucking Shaggy. Right?
Yeah.
Like, so, and he's all like, oh, I'm like, what? I'm like, no, dude, seriously. Like,
yeah, he would do free autographs for little kids, and he would do the Shaggy voice for every little kid that came up to him. So by the end of the day, by the end of the day at these conventions, his voice is just wrecked because he's doing the Shaggy voice all day for kids.
Like, I'm like, dude, he's like, oh, SLC Punk, he's like, people really need, I'm like, dude, you're a fucking meme. He's like, really? I'm like, yes. Wow, that's crazy. That's cool. He's just I mean, I'm sure he's heard this shit a million times, but he just acts like it's the first time anybody's really tried to convince him of it. And it's just it's so adorable how humble he is. It's just it was so cool.
That's cool.
And in a way, he talks about himself when he was younger. He's just like, I just don't know who that person is. I watch myself and Scream, and I'm such a spaz. And I'm just like, who is that kid, and why did they let him do that? Like,
in fact, because we got to meet all of the Scream people at one con, and every one of them were really nice. Rose McGowan was awesome. We met her in the hotel one evening. She tried to steal my son's pizza.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We had a nice conversation with her at the hotel. Everybody was just really nice. So
cool.
She seems like she's been a bit off the deep end, but anyway, Runner.
Yeah.
What's your experience?
How did you get into Scream?
Okay. Before I talk about that, I just want to let you know the most interaction I've had with anyone in the cast was Jamie Kennedy recently quote tweeting a comment I made on Twitter like, randomly. I could show it off. I think I showed it off like last.
Jamie
stream.
Kennedy seems like he'd be pretty cool too, though.
I would love to talk to him.
Like that. That's like one dude I'd like to meet if
he
I
was a little
ever
too
went
cool
to
at the con we went to. He was at. But
here's the thing: is I know people who know him. Let's say. He was one of those people who was kind of full of himself for a while, but from what it seems like, he has kind of come around and realized who he is and where he is in his place and his status and all that kind of shit. So that might be part of it too, if that says anything about him. But yeah, he was one of those guys who seemed to let fame go to his head a little bit for a while. It sounded like, but yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. All right, so Runner, now how did you get into Scream?
So for me, it's a little complicated, I guess. It's kind of hard to explain. So basically, like, I graduated high school, I was starting college first semester, and this is around the time where I was talking to Greg and Tom about horror and stuff. I'd only seen like some horror movies. Spoiler alert, I've watched a lot more now. And I think right around like it was definitely October of last year. I watched the first Scream movie because like Greg talked about it and he was like, "Yeah, I think this is right up your alley, Runner," and all that. And I was like, it's like, okay, I'll watch this. And I really had a lot of fun with it. I was like, this is fucking great. So then I think like the next month I watched Scream 2. I didn't like it as much as most people when I like first viewing. Like when I did watch it a second time, I saw where people were coming from, and I'm like, yeah, I enjoy this movie more and more the more I think about it. And
It's
then,
one of the better sequels of a horror
oh yeah,
franchise.
well, I think what really made me like it more is because of the whole like college aspect to it. That's kind of where
Yeah,
I am
it
now. So
succeeds in moving the story forward.
yeah, so like that one,
Not just
Scream.
that, it pays homage to the Friday the 13th thing by having the mom as the killer.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as the sequel goes, it just does such a great job of doing what
Yeah.
sequels should do.
Yeah,
Eh,
yeah,
Mhm.
and yeah, exactly, Tom. Like I started thinking about that. It's like seeing it a second time. I'm like, this is honestly like one of the best sequels I've seen to like to an art like to the first movie. Like, and then was it Scream
Yeah,
3?
it's pretty close to the first movie.
And
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it took me a few months to get to Scream 3. I don't know why, but I like watched Scream 3 at one point, and maybe it's because I've heard like mixed reactions to that one, and then I gave it a chance. I'm like, I actually really fucking like this
it's
one.
aged better. It's
Yeah.
aged
Yeah,
much
it's aged
better.
way better. Yeah.
Yeah, no, so I watched that and I'm like, I don't understand the hate for this fucking movie.
Well, when it first came out, it felt like a straight to video movie that had no reason to be in theaters. You got to understand.
It felt it felt like
2 years
bloated,
too
like
late.
Hollywood type thing.
Yeah, and there was just something off about it. But then when you as you look back on it in time, like it fits the trilogy perfectly. I was happy about it kind of fulfilling the whole third killer
Mhm.
conspiracy theory, even if it was retroactively done. And for those who don't know, the original script was completely tossed out and rewritten.
Yeah. Yeah.
And 3 had a
Well, because it
tumultuous.
Well, 3 got the original script got leaked.
Well, the
didn't it?
second one did, so they changed the ending of the second one. But
Okay.
the third one, they got close to production with it because for those who don't know, Kevin Williamson actually did write out, after he got
Mhm.
done writing the script for the first film, he wrote out treatments for Scream 2 and 3. And the second one stayed fairly similar. The only difference was the ending because that treatment leaked out. That was what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
And the third film, they completely rewrote it from top to bottom. Because at that time, between 1997 and 2000, Kevin Williamson was one of the most in-demand writers in Hollywood. So he wasn't available to rewrite Scream 3, so they had to have other writers come in. That's why.
Yep.
But I mean, maybe an early version did leak on the internet, Mike. That's very possible as well. That could have been one of the other things that prompted it. But I do know it wasn't what they were looking for. Plus, the third film was supposed to take place directly after the second film or whatever, I think, too, was the other problem. Like, or at least in the same sense that the second film picks up like a year after the first one or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this one,
Yeah.
obviously, they were getting a little older. So, like, yeah. Even though it's a
they had to
couple
move it
years,
along.
even Nev Campbell looks like she's getting a little old in the tooth at that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or long in the tooth, I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, she looks a little old in 3, a little rugged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean that was the year that she was like she was like a bigger like name.
Well,
at
she
the time,
filmed
'cause
that and
Drowning Mona.
Drowning Mona at the exact same time, so that was the other problem.
No, because I was watching.
Yeah, she was
I was watching the audio commentary for the third movie last night, and the producer or whatever talked about that, like saying like they had to put a wig on her because her hair, because she had like different hair for Drowning Mona, and she had to like
she had like a
shoot
blonde or lighter hair.
Yeah.
Anyway.
like lighter hair, like very like curly, whatever. I think something like that. And they explained like, yeah, they had to like give her a wig that was like close enough of the hair, the type of hair she had in the beginning of the movie.
Well, she only shot for 3 weeks on Scream 3. They didn't have her the same amount of time they had the rest of the cast. That was the other thing,
and
too.
you can tell.
That makes sense.
You can tell that because like a lot of the action and stuff. Well, we're jumping ahead to 3 before 1, but a lot of the action and stuff takes place with Dewey and Gail and the cast of
with
the
sprinkles
staff.
of her.
Yeah, with sprinkles of her. But let's get to the first movie here real quick. What are some of you guys' favorite things about it? And with the whole like mystery of like who the killers were, did you guys get it from the beginning, or did it take you a minute to figure out who was committing these crimes?
I think I always kind of suspected it was Billy, even with the red herring scene. But that, of course, helped that I've seen a lot of the scary movies. See, I had more of the Scream effect with I Know What You Did Last Summer and Urban Legend. Scream took me by surprise. But see, by the time you get to those movies, we're kind of prepared because of Scream. But like at that time, Scream was like unlike anything we'd ever seen before, but also at the same time, it took slasher movies right back down to their core base. Because you had Ghostface, who was literally 2 different guys who were not immortal. Or 3 if you go by the third film, but anyway.
It took the slasher back to its
exactly. It's back to the roots. Yeah, exactly. Go ahead, Mike.
No, that's it.
Well, I was gonna say you might have something to say about that because you're more into the giallo horror. Yeah.
It was just when slashers first started out, they did a lot of ripping off of the Italian giallo genre until around 1984 when slasher started going into supernatural territory. And this kind of took it back to those early 80s.
I never really thought of that part of it either, because even the mask almost seems like something they would have used in an Italian horror film, right?
Black gloves, mask,
yeah, very much similar.
Because it'd almost be something like I could see Dario Argento doing.
Oh yeah. When Nightmare on Elm Street came out, that changed the slasher genre completely. Because from then on, all the popular slasher movies were all supernatural based. Even Friday the 13th, the next Friday the 13th film to get filmed after the release of Nightmare on Elm Street was Jason Lives, when that's the first zombie Jason film.
Right.
Yeah. So Scream kind of.
And by Halloween 4, also Michael was being pretty much a zombie at that point.
Yeah, he wasn't kind of supernatural being controlled by witches and all kinds of stuff.
So Scream kind of brought the genre back to the more giallo roots.
Yeah, and there's like eye stuff too, because giallo does a lot of like with Henry Winkler when he gets killed, how they do the close up on the eye.
There's a couple of those. You also get one of Sydney and Courtney Cox, I believe, too, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, their eye scenes, yep.
Yeah, I never really even thought of that now until you mentioned it, Mike. You're right. I just meant the POV slasher, typical Psycho kind of, because it is very homage to Halloween and Psycho. I mean, on its surface, it clearly is. But now that you mentioned the giallo, like, I totally see that now. That's interesting. I never even thought of it that way.
And Kevin Williamson was a huge Halloween fan, so that's where all that comes in.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah,
that was one of the few jokes I liked in the new Scream movie when the boyfriend's like, so it sounds a lot like Halloween. And she's like, not exactly like Halloween. Well, yeah, it's a lot like Halloween.
That's one of the few that actually landed in that movie.
If you've never seen Mario Bava's Bay of Blood, that movie's been ripped off so much over the years. It's a lot of people consider that like the proto slasher.
We lost Mike. There he is.
There. So and much like you, I pretty much figured it was Billy from the get-go. I mean, I was younger, so I was probably not as in tune to it as like you guys, because you guys are a little older. But yeah, I kind of figured it was Billy, but then I kind of was like, maybe it's not, especially after he gets killed and all that. And
to be honest, I thought it was gonna be Billy and Randy. I didn't. Yeah, Stu was the one that took me by surprise.
He did. Stu was the big surprise, and honestly, I wasn't expecting 2. I was not expecting 2 killers.
Yeah, so. I figured. My money was on Billy, but the 2 killers was
It was an interesting twist. Yeah, go ahead, Runner. Sorry.
It kind of got ruined for me in a way. It was already spoiled to me that Stu was one of the killers, or at least the killer. I didn't know there were actually 2 though. And then like Billy all of a sudden Like I didn't think he was the killer because people because there are already memes of like him smiling with the gun and all that, that like
Right.
yeah. So like I kind of like I knew that was coming. I didn't know that Billy was like, or there was a second killer and it being Billy. I was like, because I was like, nah, because at first watching the movie, I'm like, that's way too fucking obvious. You know
That's the
what I
thing.
mean?
It was like very much like, oh, this is so obvious. Look over here, and then they hit you with Stu, and it's like, holy crap, I did not see that coming. So that's how they get you. It was just it's such a good film, that first film, and the cast is so great. This young hip cast.
Oh, yeah.
The
Of course, you got
pacing, yeah.
Yeah, the pacing is great. The pacing, the storytelling, the characters are very well developed. I mean, they each have a personality. It's not just like fodder. So, and you do care for these kids as this is happening. Even though some of the stuff, like when they have a party, but that's like more that's traditional slasher, so horror stuff. So it works.
Well, going off the traditional or taking it back, like we were just talking about a bit ago.
Yeah.
Like I thought one of the interesting thing is if you look at this movie, even though it was done on basically a studio budget, the beauty of this movie is it could have been done on a no budget and still been pretty much the same movie. Maybe not that cast, but most of it you probably still could have afforded on a independent budget. That's the beauty of it, is it could have been made for $10 and it probably would have, as long as you would have stuck with that script, because the script is gold, right? That's the one reason, like, unfortunately, Kevin Williamson kind of became a one-note horse, but like, other than Dawson's Creek.
Not only the script, though, but it's a really slick production, too.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think it would have still worked even if it was more grimy, is my point, Mike. Yeah. Like if you ended up doing it as like a 16 millimeter indie
like
budget.
A super low budget, indie type horror. Yeah.
Because there's nothing in the movie that really requires you to spend millions of dollars, is my point, Mike. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, and I like
you were
the
going to
fact
say
that
something, I thought. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. You got something to say, Mike?
No. That's it.
I do like the fact that it also helped revitalize Henry Winkler's career, because at that point in time, he was almost done, kibosh, and that kind of revitalized him just for that little bit he has in it.
It's funny, he shot for one day.
Yeah, one day, and look at it like it's one of the most memorable scenes in the whole movie, and it helped him. And plus, you get a cameo from Wes Craven as Fred the janitor, which is pretty cool.
What you little shits call me?
What you call me? Not you, Fred. It is such a good movie. I really connect with the characters, and as you've seen here with my little avatar, which character I connected with the most, because considering what I'm into. But it was so great.
He was our character, yeah.
Yeah, he was the audience, like the people, like the horror, the movie fans. That was us.
Well, and that's where, like, you know, this whole idea of having to see yourself, quote unquote, in the movie is now. I don't look anything like Randy. But yeah, he's a white kid, but I was a fat kid. I was a nerd, whatever. But I related to him because he was because he was a movie nerd. It wouldn't have mattered if he was black and gay, for that matter. I just related to him because of that. And that was the great piece of this film, is each one of these kids, there's stuff in it that almost any personality type could relate to, right? Because you have like Stu, who's kind of almost like the dumb jock. You have, Sydney's character, who's the all-American girl next door, right? You have her friend, the
Tatum, the hot blonde.
Tatum, who's the sex pot, right? And so on and so forth. So you have pretty much all the type of personalities kind of covered here. So that's all that really matters. And you don't notice that anybody has said there's no black characters in the first movie.
Yeah, nobody has said anything. And
nobody's
I know a lot of people that love this movie.
Accused the first Scream of ever being racist. But I noticed that this time I was watching, I'm like, you know what? There ain't one black character in this entire fucking movie.
No, not in that first movie at all. Not at all. Yeah, and but nobody said anything, because it's just generally a good movie. It's good performance. And even though they're like Hollywood type kids, there's people, people like that. You've seen people like that in your school, in your high school, stuff like that. They feel very real characters, and they're very well acted.
Well, Joey, you're right in most cases, but in the case of a horror film, it is important to get your audience to relate. And that's why teenagers are generally the easiest ones, because the audience is generally teenage age. So that's why
Yeah.
usually if you go back in the best of the horror films, it's not the ones that generally they don't have any better story than the last. Because let's be real, every Friday the 13th movie is pretty much the same as the last one. What you usually attach yourself to is the characters that are in it. Those are the ones that are more memorable, right? Like we remember Crispin Glover's character because he's batshit fucking crazy.
Yeah.
We remember Shelley because we all, he's a dick, but we also feel bad for him, right? Like we know these characters because there's something about them that we either relate to or we know somebody like them. And that's the thing that they forgot is it doesn't necessarily have to see yourself in the fucking movie. You just have to be able to relate to the character somehow, some way. And that's the beauty of human nature is you're always going to find something as long as you have a well-rounded character that you can relate to. Like me, I could never relate really to Neve Campbell's character, Sydney, because she wasn't me. She was making a lot of stupid mistakes that I wouldn't make in her position. But it took me a little bit to grow out of that. So that's what I think a lot of it is just young people don't have life experience and the ability to see past themselves. Right. And I was pissed when they killed Randy, but now in retrospect, I can look back and I almost sit there and, they sit there and argue in the beginning of the movie about what sequels are ever better than the original. This movie, the second movie almost makes an argument that it is practically better than the original in some respects.
Yeah, it does. It really does because after everything that goes through in the first movie with the big reveal of Stu and Billy and how everybody survives, you kind of want to see what happens to Sydney and Gail and Dewey, especially Dewey because you see him get stabbed and he ends up being alive, pretty much his stick for most of the films until we'll get to this shit later. And then so
as you can tell, I was segueing there to part 2.
Yeah, and it progresses in the sequel very well, and we get a bunch of new characters. And I was always
the best
a fan
thing
of
about it though is we get to see Jada Pinkett die in the first 5 goddamn
I know.
minutes.
I was watching. I was watching.
Ass. I am so happy about that.
I'm watching that, and I'm like, this. Even her character in Scream 2 is a bitch because like her boyfriend is like this really nice guy. He's like,
I felt sorry for him when Omar dies. Like Omar was like,
yeah, I'm like, oh, I don't want to see this guy. And here's some black characters. I feel sorry for this guy. And, I can kind of connect with Omar because he seems like this really cool, nice guy that you want to hang out with. And he kind of gets the shit and he's got this bitchy girlfriend. And then you're kind of rooting for her to get it in the end afterwards. So, yeah, that opening was a pretty strong opening.
Well, and the thing is, I can't I'm sure somebody said something to Wes about there's a lack of color in this cast.
Yeah, probably.
Because clearly in the second film, they made sure that was something that nobody was going to say. But no, I think the opening is perfect, especially when you got Omar Epps and Jada Pinkett, who at that time were fairly well-known enough actors. So it played off well enough, like the whole thing. Like everybody knew they were going to die in the first act. Like seriously, we knew that was the only reason she was there. That got all leaked early on, as we said. What they did change at the end, though, kind of helped the movie, if you ask me. Even though Wes was pissed to I guess his dying day that the script or the treatment did leak out, because the original killer was Cotton Weary, and I can't remember who the second killer was. I think, but it was to me it made more sense to make it the mother, and the Mickey thing kind of helped because I like his motive of this whole idea that he's going to blame the movies.
Yeah, it's
because that was a big deal at the time. You guys got to, for those who don't know, who weren't alive at the time, that was the second film came right on the heels of these kids killing these other kids, and I mean, of course, the movie was already done at this time, so it's not like it just happened to be like one of those. They were almost worried about it more than it being a happy accident because like. There were some kids who claimed that the first movie was one of their inspirations for this murder thing they did. And it was pretty much set up like the Scream thing. So you can't deny that they weren't.
Yeah.
So like they almost postponed the second film's release because of this. And then Columbine also happened around that time too.
Yep.
So that was that's what kind of held the third film off for those who don't know. That was one of the main reasons besides what's her face being a holdout too. That was the other reason. But
Neve Campbell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how history will repeat itself, won't it? Here when we get to the end of the story.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Yeah, and I love Scream 2. I like it because I do like this casting. Is because I'm a huge fan of Jerry O'Connell because of the Sliders. I used to watch Sliders all the time, so I was glad to see him in there. And Timothy Oliphant is one of his first early performances, and he gives a great performance. Yeah, there you go, Scream 2, the steelbook. I wish I would have got that steelbook. That freaking Amazon screwed me over. Motherfuckers. Anyways.
Did you cancel your order or something?
I was waiting to see. I'm waiting to see. We'll see. But as of right now, I have that one.
No, I didn't want. Here's the thing. Here's the funny thing. I didn't want to get the steelbook because I wanted to get the original, like the one that you have, because I didn't get the steelbook. I got this. Granted, I like the original poster, but that steelbook that you have is fucking bitching, dude.
I will give that so far that they did use the original poster art for those Blu-rays, and I do like that more than the steelbook.
Yeah.
But, I bought the first steelbook, so I had to uniform it. But yeah.
But I do like this cover more than the one in the standard, the red filter thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is the original poster. The only thing that's missing is the group at the bottom. But
yeah, I know. Like they should have added the group at the bottom, and it would have been better.
But you know what? That was like the beginning of the trifecta of like every poster was a Scream poster. After that, Mike knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You
Where you basically have them all standing in a triangle. Yeah.
Well,
even the Phantoms cover.
Well, the Scream poster with them standing in the triangle is actually the video poster.
Yes, and that's the funny thing about it. It was the sequel that emulated the first the first movie cover, or the video cover. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, because the theatrical poster is just the close up of the face.
On the original, yes.
Yeah, the video poster though is the face with the triangle.
And then the second poster though, they do have the triangle underneath the two faces for the theatrical one. Yeah.
Yeah, because somewhere around here I've got the video poster. But like I said, my son actually has the original one sheet for the first movie.
Yeah. And what do you guys? Me and Tom talked a little bit about before we get into the third movie. We'll talk a little bit about the killer reveal and everything. But what do you, Mike and Runner, think?
I love Scream 2, but I did guess the reporter being the killer because it was too obvious.
Now, see,
me too, but I didn't get the mom part though. That took me for a loop.
That part came out of nowhere pretty much.
I guess Mickey. I thought, I figured Mickey was like, I figured he was the killer right off the bat pretty much, but I never guessed
I guess on the reporter just because of it was a name actress playing the character. And she just kind of bolted on. I don't know. It was just a little too. That character was just put into the movie too precariously. But I didn't think they'd go with the two killers again because that's what they did in the first movie. So I think they're not going to do that again, are they? But yeah, they did. So.
I think it actually works better in the second film, though. I was going to say, because it makes more sense for her to be motivated as to get revenge for her son's death.
Mm-hmm.
And for for Sydney's mom ruining their marriage and all that business. I didn't mind that so much. It didn't, and they kind of set it up a little bit earlier on. When you watch it the first time, you don't notice it, but when you watch it the second time, because Gail recognizes her, and Laurie plays it off as I was the one asking all the questions last whatever at that.
At the conference. I was
so what she did is so you can basically figure in your mind, okay, so what she did is once she had the makeup, she tested it. The makeover. She went to this conference and even then Gail didn't recognize it was her, but still something's not setting right with Gail. You can tell from the start. So I like that how they kind of set that up a little bit, and they do give her the crazy eyes and all that kind of shit.
Yeah, she plays them crazy eyes up good too.
And you're right, Mike. As soon as I seen that it was Laurie Metcalf, I'm like, they didn't cast her just as a joke. Right. She's in this for a fucking reason, and she kept popping up. If she had just been in the one scene in the beginning, then I'd have been like, okay, that's lame.
Yeah.
The mom thing I didn't see coming, but you're right. It does her being Skeeter Ork's Billy's mother is pretty good. I liked that.
Mm-hmm.
It pays homage to Friday the 13th,
Yeah.
I dug it too, and and she plays good. And I love how when Runner, we'll get to you here in a minute, but I like how when she's monologuing, and then at the end she's like, and then who just gives a flying fuck? It's it's going to kill this woman.
And you notice, I noticed it last night. I guess I never noticed it before, but the only character she really interacts with in the whole movie is Gail Weathers.
Yes,
because everyone else would recognize who she is
exactly
right away.
And that's
So what do you
another thing I
think?
was getting at, Mike, too, because as soon as Sydney sees her, she recognizes her right
Yeah,
away.
like
Right. Well,
Mrs. Loomis.
because like Dewey would have I mean, anybody from the town would have recognized her.
Right. Yep. Right away. So, what do you think, Runner?
About two.
Did you figure it out? Did you guess? Do you like the killers in this one?
I don't know. I think. Well, see, difference is this time I wasn't spoiled by anything in 2. I was spoiled by one of the killers in the first one, so that kind of ruined it. And I yes and no. I like most people said, I didn't expect the whole mom thing to like come out of it. Like that was a bit of a surprise, and I thought that was quite good. But yeah, no, Scream 2, damn good movie. It Watching it a second time, it's almost as good as the first one in my opinion.
It
The more I
is.
think
It's
about
a
it,
really great sequel.
yeah, like it's almost as good as the first.
It's
one
one of those like it's like one of those debates like Godfather 2 thing.
Yeah.
I mean, because like I hate saying that the second Godfather is a better film because you need the first film, and also the first film has Brando. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like the first
but
film
the second
has
film
Matthew
has De
Lillard, though.
Niro. You know, while
Yeah.
Matthew Lillard does make a walk on role in the party scene.
Yes, he does, and you can see him a
That's-
lot clearer in the
yeah.
4K than you could in the Blu-ray.
That's funny because like I've only seen the first 2 Godfather films, and I mean, I like both movies, but I prefer the first one. But I also feel the same way about Scream. So you know, it's just one of those things. Like you just gotta like it. Like I think time will determine kind of where you stand on certain films like that. But yeah, no, Scream 2. Like I said, I didn't love it as much as most people, but like rewatching it, it's like I understand now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I enjoy, like I said, it's got a great cast in that. Timothy Oliphant, I really enjoyed him as Mickey, and I do
It was good.
like the fact of his motive, like where Billy and Stu was like, "Don't blame the movie, Sid. They make the movies, they make killers more creative or whatever." And you know they're trying to get away with this like this, and then like Mickey's whole thing is like he's blaming the movies. He wants to get caught. He wants to go through the trial and do all this. And
the beauty of it is that Billy's mom already knows that shit ain't gonna work, but she just lets him convince himself.
Yeah, she's just
he's
like
just her scapegoat.
Him. Yeah, and he's essentially the Stu of the movie because you think he's the Billy, but then you find out he's the Stu. But, you know, have a fall guy, somebody you can blame everything on, and just using it. And the fact that we do lose. I know we didn't talk about this. We were talking about anything, but we do lose Randy, which is a very bold move in the sequel, especially considering he was the fan favorite, the one that people loved and were rooting for. And then like it comes out of the blue, and you're like, "What the hell did happen? Did they really just?" There's no way they just killed him in that van right now.
That was a steam killer in the theater, like that first opening night. Because like we were just jazzed, right? Like we were that crowd in the beginning of the movie at that point.
Yeah,
and that's
like
when
the beginning.
The steam just was taken out of the room, like everything, like because the whole point up to that point, everybody's like just cheer. Like I've seen movies where people get involved with the movies, but like Scream 2 has to be one of those experiences where I feel like the audience was more involved with the movie than any other movie I've ever been a part of, other than maybe a Star Wars film. Like Episode 1 is the only other time I remember the audience cheering and clapping and getting, but even more so in Scream, like it was a palpable energy. Like the room really was like elevated with this energy. Like people were into the movie, and there was this audible gasp the moment Randy got grabbed back, and like this murmur and noise that was throughout the entire film. It went dead silent for like the next 10 to 15 minutes. That movie had a hard time getting itself back. And that's part of the reason why I give it so much credit. Exactly, Steven.
Genius. I thought it was
exactly. No, yeah, in retrospect, Mike, I totally, but that's just it. It's like it managed to do exactly what, in the words of Quentin Tarantino, it fucking works.
Well, it managed to do what Randy was saying. All bets are off in the sequel.
Yeah, all bets are off.
Well, that's the third movie he says that. But
it
meant anybody could get it. in the sequel. You know.
Yeah. And speaking of rules, which I want to get to when we get to 5, because there's rules that say from like 2, 3, and 4 that part 5 legitimately just ignores and goes back to. Like even in part 2, Randy says the boyfriend Derek, he's a suspect, and then Randy's like, no, he's not. The boyfriend hacked. It's tired. It's old. It's used. Moving on. So that's like already a rule that they're going back to the well of it's anyways.
Well, that's because Scream 2022 is a whole nother fucking animal, and we're gonna get to that. I think.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
We'll get to that. Well,
I know what you want me to share, Runner. You want to share your retreat of Jamie Kennedy?
No. Okay, so real quick, I just want to tell you one thing about Scream 2 before we move on. Well, the one thing I was like, and kind of still am pissed about to this day is them killing him off. I was super bummed out. I was like legitimately my favorite character. Jamie Kennedy did a bang up job, and so then later on, of recently, like last week, Justin Proper, who I hope will make it to this stream, makes a tweet out posting the 2 posters for first 2 Scream movies, and he mentions that, okay, so you don't have Randy in the first poster, understandable, but not having him in the second poster is inexcusable. So basically, like then I replied, I was like, yeah, well, what's worse is that they killed him off in the second one. Like I mentioned that, and out of fucking nowhere, I didn't use any hashtags or tagged him or anything. I didn't do any of that, and out of fucking nowhere, like the next minute, he quote tweets my comment. Like that was like the weirdest fucking shit ever, and it's awesome.
Well, to be real, they should have let Randy live until the 3rd film. His true
I agree.
Ending should have come in the 3rd film, but it's much more impactful in the 2nd film. Mike is right. In hindsight and retrospect, looking back on it, it was
because to get that effect. Let's say they wanted to get that effect that anybody is expendable in the 2nd film. That means killing off a character from the original film. So you can't kill off Sydney.
No.
Courtney Cox is one of the major stars in the film. You're not going to kill her off either. So that leaves Dewey or Randy. And you kind of got the love story going on with Dewey and Gail.
Randy's the logical choice.
But there's another level to that too, and this is why I hated it at the time, but I understand it now in retrospect. Mike, he killed the audience. We had no safety net from there on out.
Right.
And you're exactly right in your point. It wasn't just Randy himself.
Once you kill Randy, who was a favorite character from the first film, nobody's safe.
Well, not just that, the audience themselves, because 90% of the audience watching this movie, that's the character they relate to, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what you're doing is pulling out their safety net to this film, right? Like through the first movie, it was always like Randy just got lucky, but like every time he'd pop up, we're like, oh, well, of course, Randy can't kill him. You know, he's us.
Well, from that point in the film,
so glad to be a virgin.
There's really no more comic relief in the film because you killed Randy, and he killed off, and the cameraman left.
Yep.
Right after Randy gets killed.
And he gets
dead serious.
Dark.
Yeah.
And they were the 2 comic relief characters, and they're gone.
And I enjoy that about the film too, because yes, I was pissed when they killed Randy, and I was like, especially in the theater watching, I was like, I what the fuck? What?
And I love the cameraman too, because he's one of my favorite characters.
Yeah.
One of my favorite characters is that cameraman, because he's like dead, his throat slashed. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Motherfucker ain't in the union no more. And they asked it,
Wes Special K, not crack.
Because there was like this deal where they would give the characters kind of a little bit of say in how they would die, I guess, in the 2nd film, like in their actual death scene or whatever. And I guess he was supposed to die. And he wasn't too happy about that. And Wes is like, well, what would you rather he do? He's like, well, if I was in that situation, I'd just fucking leave. He's like, so you just want to leave? He's like, yeah, I would just fucking leave. He's like, peace out. I'm done. I'm not sticking around here. He's like, because in this situation, he's like, especially if you're talking about a horror movie, brothers, he even says it in the movie, brothers don't last long in a situation like this. So Wes is like, You know, you're probably right. They won't expect that. So it was just kind of one of those character moments that they chose to have him just be like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm done. I'm out. And he makes a good point. My fucking van is now a crime scene. Impounded. You know, I'm slowly moving up this hit list. I think the best thing for me to do is put some distance between me and this fucking town.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah.
I think that is the good thing is with Scream 2 is because how do you top the first cast? Because that first cast, like we talked about, was a great cast, and then you bring in the new cameraman. You got the leftovers from the first movie. You got Timothy Olyphant. You got Jerry O'Connell. You got Sydney's new roommate, which I think she's probably the weakest link of the new cast. Is her
well, and
roommate.
I almost thought she was one of the killers at first. Sorry,
yeah.
Go ahead,
Until I rewatched Scream 2 last night, I'd completely forgot about that character being in the movie.
Yeah, she's not a very memorable character. The only reason I remember her character is because of the scene in the car where she dies.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. It's like, ooh, what there's eye. And then she's
because it's Sydney's fault she dies. Because I remember thinking that exact same thing in the theater. I'm like, bitch, you should have just kept going. If you wouldn't have stopped for Sydney, you'd be still alive to this day.
I have to go back and see who it is. Come on, Sydney, let's just go. Or she just stands there and gets killed.
She's like, come on, you know.
Yeah,
she's like, Sydney's all like, I got to know, you know. It's like, no, fuck you don't, Sydney, go.
That's which also brings me up to part 5 again because that's fucking stupid shit with Dewey. But anyways,
well, yeah, but no, like the other problem with that scene in the second film, since we're still on it, I was like, she crawls over his ass. I'm sitting here thinking the whole time, take the fucking knife and stab him.
Exactly.
What the fuck are you doing?
Or the cop got the gun.
The gun? Yeah, grab the cop gun. What the fuck are you doing? Like, sorry, I didn't mean to scream there, but I was like, and still the other night when I watched it was the same response again. It's like, this is why I hate Sydney's character. Because she does the stupid shit, and really, that's what it was. Her first line, or not her first line, but her first foray into the whole. You know, they're so stupid. You know, it's always some stupid big-breasted bimbo running up the stairs when she should be running out the front door. And what does she fucking do? She runs right up the goddamn stairs. So since that moment in time, I always felt like Sydney was a stupid bitch. Like I really did.
See, but that works for me though. Like. That's the thing
you gotta understand, she was grating on me at that point. It's like, this woman keeps putting herself in these fucking positions. Like,
I understand that, but this is where I'll defend that. It's like, yes, she says that in the phone call, but that's because she doesn't like. Again, she doesn't.
I get it.
She doesn't fucking like again.
I like Sydney. I always give her a little more leeway, but she does do some stupid shit in the first couple movies.
I mean, maybe I'm a little biased because I like Nev Campbell, but what is it? Like she mentioned in the phone, like, oh yeah, I'm not into scary movies, so like she just doesn't take it seriously, and yeah, like I kind of like that she does the exact same like thing that she's like that she blames horror movies for. I thought it
still
worked.
Classic horror tropes. Yeah,
I know. Like I thought it.
But by that second movie, she was really driving me nuts. Like I'm like, this girl should be so much more smarter than this by now.
Yeah, well, especially in that car scene, especially in that car
really
scene.
Set it over the top.
Like that, she really and I'm a fan of Sydney. I was rooting for her, and I was basically because I thought Nev Campbell was hot, especially in the second movie. But but yeah, I agree with you, Tom. I mean, she does get a little stupid, especially in the first couple movies. She does a lot of stupid stuff, and
like I mean, like the car scene that Tom was talking about, I do agree. And you know, to bring it back to Randy's death, you know, looking at it now, I guess, like for the I think I've seen the second one, I think at least like 5 times already at least. Yeah, like at first I was thinking like, yeah, like they just killed the audience right there, and that like bummed me out. And maybe that's the reason why I didn't like it as much.
Well, it's literally pulling the rug out from under you. And I like how Mike put that, because that really is what happened in the theater at the time. Like, I never quite knew how to articulate it, but it is. It's like, we don't have our visceral into the movie anymore. So we are like walking on unsettled ground. You know what I mean? Like, who do we connect with? We have now. Yeah, exactly. Like, it was like, no, we have nothing left here. This is we're all on our own now. It was what it kind of felt like. It just, yeah. And maybe that's where finally I found a way to try to attach to Sydney. But from then on, I attached to Dewey, unfortunately. And it has nothing to do with the male factor. It just has everything to do with the stupid factor. In fact, by the time we get to the third film, there's actually a couple characters I love in the third film. So much more than some of the other characters in the other movies. But like, but like that's kind of the reasoning, is just how stupid some characters can be sometimes. I hate it.
And we're about to head into the third one real quick, but I want to get your guys' thoughts real quick on the last bit of this part 2 before we get to the third one. Did you think Dewey was going to actually be dead, and how do you feel how it all came to end in that second movie?
The first time I saw it, I thought Dewey was done.
So did I.
After
I was
we
like,
lost,
they killed Randy, and now they're killing fucking Dewey. I was like, what the hell?
You know what's fucking hilarious? Like watching the second movie and seeing him, like, because I did think that he was almost dead, but comparing it to the latest movie that came out, if he did die, it would have worked. It actually would have fucking worked.
Yeah, but
like it actually makes makes sense.
I have a rant about that later.
Yes, I can't wait to get a 5-minute rant. I can't wait to do that.
I know.
I'm actually looking forward to talking about 4 too, because I want to talk about that. But
here's a question I have for everybody on part 2 that will lead nicely into part 3.
Okay.
Because somebody who never gets mentioned, and again, he's one of my favorite parts of the film, and he's an actor that never seems to get enough attention. Undersung actor, in my opinion. Liev Schreiber.
Oh yes,
Cotton fucking Weary is probably one of my favorite characters besides Randy.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Just because of how doe-eyed and fucking dumb he is.
I know, because like when you see him in the first movie, just the one scene, and he's got like the Billy hair.
It's like, how did they ever think this guy was a killer?
Exactly.
Seriously.
Because he looks like he's going to be. Because when you just see him on the newsreel in the first one, he does look like he could be like a harsh bad guy, and then you see him in part 2, and he's like, this guy is like fucking nice as shit, and he just wants to be on TV.
He's a pussycat,
and tell his story, and he does.
Well, he wants to clear his name.
I
mean, that's the beauty of his motive in the second film, is he's in the right through the whole thing. All he wants, he doesn't want to hurt Sydney. He doesn't want anything bad to happen to her. He just wants her to go out and say he didn't do it.
I think it's less about clearing his name, is that he wants to hang on to 15 minutes of fame.
Well, that too, and then that's where it leads into the whole like thing. And then you see that
he wants to take advantage of the situation.
There is that too, but he's not to the point where like he doesn't want to hurt City, because like he gets that moment where he gets pissed at Gail, right, for lying to him about the whole thing and setting him up. See, that's not what he wants. He wants that fucking Diane Sawyer. You're right. It's the 15 minutes as part of it, but he also wants that prestigious version of it. He didn't want that half-assed fucking gotcha interview shit.
He wants the fame where to have her in a conversation with Sydney, just to to prove his innocence and to say, see, and with the fame with Diane Sawyer on a big time network.
Yeah, he wanted to parlay it into the whole situation something bigger, which by the third film he's got his own radio talk show.
Yeah,
well, actually it's television, and it's done perfectly. And that's what I love. That segues into the third film, because not only does he have his own talk show, people forget he was going to be in the movie.
We have somebody.
Movie. Oh, Justin finally shows up.
Has joined.
I am so sorry about about being an hour late.
That's all right.
Yeah, you texted me, hey, I'll be here in 10 minutes. Yeah, it's took you longer than 10 minutes.
It's been 30 minutes. I actually didn't even remember that this was going to be a thing. I still don't remember agreeing to this, but you know what? This is fun, so okay. I am so sorry.
The story was you insisted on being here, so I don't know.
Did it?
That's what Runner told us.
What did I say? No, I texted him. I reached out to him, like telling him about the idea, and he was like, "Yeah, I can make time for that."
He's too busy schmoozing with Anna.
So
yeah,
I don't know what you're talking about.
No. So
we had a very nice conversation after the stream, because we haven't seen each other in a couple of years, and you know what? Sometimes old friends need to catch up.
Yes.
And FanZcene, this is your channel, so I can.
Yeah, this is my channel.
Oh my god, I told her the wrong channel because I was like, oh, Runner is streaming.
Wait, what? You gave me the shout out?
Yes.
It's
Hell
my channel,
yeah.
but that's okay.
I didn't even know. I'm so sorry. I feel like a complete dick.
I
because
love you, buddy.
Trust me, they're going to go over to Runner's channel and find absolutely nothing there. So
I find nothing.
Oh no!
I am so sorry about that. So I am going to make sure that she knows about that.
That's okay.
Or something if you want, but I don't know.
Did you not get the part where I told you to reach out to Greg?
Who's Greg?
FanZcene?
That's me.
I'd never known your name. I don't. If somebody goes by like a name like Tom goes. Runner goes by Runner. FanZcene goes by FanZcene. I don't know. I don't.
No, I'm looking at the DMs right now. I typed in "let Greg" in parentheses FanZcene know that you want that I let you know.
I guess I completely forgot about that. How long ago was this?
This was a few weeks ago.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah. But welcome
I'm
here.
sorry, where were you guys at?
We're moving
We're
into
about to start
3.
Scream 3, actually. So
Yeah,
if you
we're
want to
about
give
to
your
start Scream
feelings,
3.
well, why don't we give Justin a chance to give his feelings on the first 2 films quick then?
Yeah, if you want to go ahead and cover your.
Scream is an absolute classic. I love every single character, every single aspect of it, except when Ghostface is in the supermarket. That makes no sense. I don't get it. It's stupid. I think it was just for effect or whatever. I thought that was dumb because it makes no sense, no canonical sense. In an otherwise very consistent franchise. Scream 2, I loved the further development of characters that you don't get in any other slasher movie, except maybe Laurie Strode. And that's one person. You don't get it for multiple people. It's just like, what happens next? And this is what separates them from the other franchises, is that you care about these characters so much. You are afraid of something to happen to them. And killing off Randy was a big fucking mistake. I
think it was a good move.
Yeah,
no. Horrible idea.
Okay,
much as I liked that character,
okay, Justin,
I thought it was
listen.
genius.
No. Killing off
He clearly
Randy
missed
is
our
like,
last conversation.
Yeah.
No, I feel like killing off Randy was like killing off the voice of the audience, and a lot of people were pissed.
You're 100% right.
That's what we were talking about, but
and there's a reason for that. Yeah.
No, but after
it's just like your voice doesn't matter anymore, audience. Like,
well, you're in the second movie. I mean, if you're not on board already by the middle of the second movie, you're not going to be. So it's okay to kill Randy at that point.
No, I just, I don't know. I wouldn't have, I wouldn't have done it. I mean, like, Dewey had like 4 fucking fake outs. Like,
I'm not going to disagree with you there, but here's my thing, and this is basically the short version of what we just kind of all discussed. At the time, in it happening, it felt like a gut punch, like you said. He is the audience, but that's why I think they did it, and it was a good move, because for the rest of that film and the rest of the remaining, at least decent films anyway, we don't have a safety net anymore. We have no idea who could go, what could happen, where this could go. Like, Randy was our eyes and ears in these films and our mouths, and we don't have him anymore.
Yeah.
So taking him out of the equation is kind of taking away our training wheels.
No, I get that, but I felt like that was, the whole purpose of that was, for that shock value, and I didn't like it. And maybe because you're not supposed to like it.
Justin,
no, exactly. That's it. Yeah.
Justin, I rewatched the movie yesterday because I bought it on 4K, and I kind of agree with Tom. Like, at first I hated it, and that's why I didn't love Scream 2 as much as most people, because Randy's death pissed me the fuck off. So then, rewatching it now, I'm like, okay, I'm starting to warm up to this movie a lot more. I understand why people love it, and I'm at the point where it's like it's almost as good as the first movie.
Well, that's where I would also agree with you there, because over time, my attachment with Randy was from when I watched it when I was younger. When I was 13 years old, and I was like that movie geek, and I identified with Randy. As the years went on, I identified more with Dewey. And we will get to that when Scream 5 comes around. But
we got shit to talk about Scream 5.
Oh, when Scream 3, with Scream 3, to get to that, you know what? I think it just had to do with the mess of a production, when it comes to, not really committing to what they wanted to do. They made it more goofy. And you know what? Fuck you, Columbine, for happening, because that ruined my favorite franchise. What a selfish thing to say. I know. But it really did. It really did. And also a bunch of people died. And it was ridiculous. Why would you ever do something like that? But the fact that the movie industry was affected by something like that, I can't blame them for that. But at the same time, I respect their decision, but it did make the movie more clunky.
Justin, do you own this?
No, I own the first 4 movies on DVD.
Okay, you don't own like this particular copy of it though? Like it's got
why?
No, okay, I'm going to explain why. So this is the first 3 movies on Blu-ray. That's not why I'm showing you this. It gives you 2 documentaries, and this is the only thing you can get and watch them.
Well, I guess I have to get that then.
Yeah, look it up.
I'll watch it, but
they're the first documentary is fucking great. The second one, second one's not as. The first documentary is fucking fantastic.
Did you hear the commentary on Scream 1? Did you listen to it?
The Wes Craven one?
I have before.
Yeah,
Wes Craven and Kevin Williamson. It came out on the VHS. The second tape was the commentary, and it was before Scream 2 came out.
It's on this too, the 4K.
Yeah, the commentary.
Yeah.
Yeah, we said earlier it's been the same commentary since way back when.
Yeah. I mean, like this is like fresh commentary, which was really amazing to see. So, so I would highly recommend you listen to that, because it gives you an insight of like what the second movie is going to be about, and then knowing what it's going to be about, and it's just I don't know, it's educational. But again, Scream 3. I liked some parts. Like, I understand why Cotton Weary was killed off, because it's supposed to reminisce, this celebrity that's being killed off, but it's a celebrity in universe versus, out of universe, like Drew Barrymore being killed off.
Not just that. What else does this character have to fucking do?
Yeah, exactly.
If you're not going to make him the killer, then yeah.
He had a great purpose in Scream 2, and that was. Liev Schreiber did amazing in Scream 2. I think that was a good highlight. There was a lot of good character highlights in Scream 2, and that's why I'm mad that Randy got killed off, because I want to see more highlights from that in the other movies. I want to see what it became of him. But that also
we get Randy in part 3.
Yeah.
No, for a second, that doesn't.
But what else was Randy going to add to part 3? Like that's
what could he do in the third one?
In a VHS tape recorder.
Because, like he said, this is it. If this is part 3, even you can die, Sid.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, what else can he say? I mean, he would have, even if he was in part 3, he would have probably died fairly early on, and it probably wouldn't have been as ceremoniously.
He might have even been
as in the second film.
You never know.
Yeah. And the thing is I think we would have been feeling the same way we do about his death in retrospect as we do about another character's death coming up in the 5th film. But anyhow,
I was so, but at the same time,
I agree with Mike. The way they did it in the second film was perfection, because that way from here on out, and that's what I love about that third film, because going into it, it was kind of like all bets are off. We have no idea where this is going, where this is coming from. And I know a lot of people
Fisher is here, which is nice. was like,
that
where
was-
did
that
It
was
does have
cool.
some great cameos, even
It
though
does, it does.
I hate Kevin Smith now, but at the time that was a hell
Yeah,
of a
I
nice
totally
cameo.
forgot Jay and
Wow.
Silent
Bob,
Bob.
Jay and Silent
I
Bob.
totally
No,
forgot
not
they were in it
Psycho
until I was
Bob, I'm
watching
sorry.
it again.
I was
Well,
talking about
you know-
Psycho Bob a while ago. Jay and Silent Bob are canon in Scream.
Yeah.
What the what?
I found that to be really fucking hilarious at the time.
I
It's Connie
I
fucking
didn't
Chung.
understand it because I never watched Clerks, when I was a young kid, because I had no fucking reason to. I wasn't in film school. I don't know. They show that in film school, by the way, and
Yeah.
it's fine, but it's not like all that exciting. Like it's not like a Scream or anything. It's just an indie film in black and white, and it was like, this is kind of cool, But like,
I loved Clerks back in the day, but I have my own personal reasons with Kevin Smith now. But
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think everybody does. People.
and
change
I'm
over
with Dan.
time.
The Carrie Fisher cameo was probably one of the best cameos in a movie
Yes.
ever.
It's like
we,
I would Princess Leia, but they chose the one who slept.
yeah, slept with George Lucas.
I noticed a lot of that.
Oh my god!
I noticed a lot of that in the third film, which is kind of funny considering Harvey Weinstein is the producer
Yes.
of this.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a lot of that talk in that movie with Milton, the producer
Yeah.
for the horror films.
Harvey is a fucking producer of this.
Well,
Exactly.
I'm
And he
glad we
did
got to the
Cash
Carrie
On.
Fisher thing early on because I want to ask everybody, how many of you think that Carrie Fisher might have script doctored this movie? I think she did.
No,
Because some of
dude.
these lines and
That's
stuff
entirely
in this,
possible. She did.
I think so.
I think she
She did a
improv'd
lot
her
of-
lines. That's about it.
I mean, she did a lot of uncredited work on scripts.
it's just there's some of the cracks in this movie, especially Parker Posey. This is why I was getting
Yes,
Parker Posey is one of my favorite fucking characters.
I love
the
her and Gil's
entire
dynamic
Scream-
in that movie.
Scream series, period. Like, and I swear, her lines feel like Carrie Fisher wrote every single one of them.
It may have because like even the way she like Judy Jurgensen.
Yeah, the
she
whole
talks
thing with
about
like, but the whole thing with like, I see that the killer wants to kill you, so as long as I'm near you and he wants to kill you, he'll rather kill you instead of me. So that'll
Yeah.
make me say that whole like her whole thing feels like a Carrie Fisher character, and there's something about it because I think so. Well, yeah, that's the thing. I think
so.
she wrote that whole scene. Like that's
I was
clearly
gonna
her.
say, yeah.
There's no way she didn't write all that shit, and that's where I'm sitting here thinking. I wonder if she didn't script doctor this movie because let's be real, the third film has some pretty funny one-liners and some pretty decent writing in it. In retrospect, because like I said, at the time we saw it in the theater, it had been a couple of years since the second film. All the shit had kind of died down. We weren't quite sure what to expect. It had already gotten delayed for reshoots. We weren't, we were.
You have to remember, by the time Scream 3 came out, there were a ton of copycats
Mhm.
that had come out.
That I was going to get to on its own, Mike. I didn't know
because because Scream 2 came out just a year later.
Exactly. Well, that's what I said earlier.
so
It was
there's-
like, yeah.
Yeah, so there still weren't a lot of Scream copycats by the time Scream 2 had come out. By the
Yeah.
time Scream 3 came out, there were a ton of them.
Because this is my issue with Scream. It has the Scream effect. I love Scream itself,
Yes.
but like my boss Andre hates it. But I understand why he hates them. And he doesn't necessarily hate the first film per se, but he hates what it did to horror films.
Yeah.
And it did. It changed horror films forever, at least for a long period of time. And we had a lot of movies that were nothing but Scream replicas. Even H2O has that problem.
But there are some good ones, though.
There are a few good ones, don't get me wrong.
Freddy versus
But it
One
got
just
to a
recently
point.
came out on 4K, by the way.
Which?
I Know What You Did Last Summer. Last week came out on 4K.
I fucking hate that one. See, that's one of the ones I hate.
I knew Tom had told me that.
I actually
everything
prefer the
Kevin
second film.
Williamson did was amazing.
I'm trying to remember if I even
About-
bothered with the second film.
I actually prefer the second one. So
I hate the second one. The second one's even
What?
worse.
and I like Urban Legend. So
I don't mind
Urban Legend
I like
wasn't
Urban
as
Legends.
bad. At
Oh,
least it had a better gimmick for it. What were you saying, Justin? So
Yeah.
Oh no. I heard an argument that Jaws 2 ruined a lot of other future movies because
it did.
because even though it's a decent movie, and that was the first Jaws movie I saw, and it was more terrifying, and it was kind of a slasher film in a way.
Well, it was kind of it was the first movie to ever have the number 2 in the title. The actual number 2 and not a Roman numeral.
Well, part 2 of The Godfather. Yeah, that was a Roman numeral.
Yep.
Okay.
And not only that, they were unabashedly it was a cash in. Clearly, there was no real reason for Jaws 2 to exist, other than we're doing this again.
Because it was the biggest film of all time.
I can't say I blame them though.
No, exactly. Like in hindsight, Jaws 2 is the best of the sequels. Nobody's going to argue that. But again, it is a similar thing, Justin. I agree with you. Like, and I know I don't know if you've heard this story yet, Mike, but the short version is my buddy drugged me to I Know What You Did Last Summer, claiming it was better than Scream.
What?
Well,
that's simply not true.
And I started predicting the deaths as we went along, and some guy yelled at me in the theater. He's like, "Hey, motherfucker, if you've seen this movie, quit spoiling it for everybody." I leaned back and said, "That's the fucking problem, asshole. I haven't seen this fucking movie." And he didn't say another fucking word.
No, it's nowhere near as good as Scream.
I called every death. I called who the killer was right away. My buddy was pissy. If it wasn't for him being the one who drove, I would have left. I hated it. And that was the first time I noticed. I'm like, oh God, Scream did this.
Yeah, it's. Have you ever walked out of a theater, Tom?
I almost walked out of the Batman earlier this year. That was the closest I've ever come, because normally I won't, just because of pure principle.
Yeah, I have a couple times.
Like how you want to, see a movie out.
It's usually either I'm not there by myself as part of it, or just because out of obligation, I feel like I can't really review something if I don't watch it.
I almost walked out of The Rise of Palpatine. I was so pissed off.
I almost walked off Rob Zombie's Halloween. I was really, really close, and I was like, I got to see the shit show.
I saw the leaked version of that before it came out.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? Like I also saw the leaked version. And my friend
the superior cut.
No, it was a different theatrical cut with different music in it, and it was like, what is this? The
one that leaked out had Carpenter's original music in it, but it was the better of the two cuts. It's kind of a hybrid of the unrated version and the theatrical cut.
No, but it also had like God of Thunder is by Kiss is in the first.
I don't remember if that was in it or not, but yeah.
No, that was, but
it may not. I'm trying to remember the one I saw because it's been so many years, man. But yeah.
Yeah, but that was the version I saw in theaters, and then
in theaters, yeah. In
theaters, but the bootlegged version had like my friend was like, "Oh, it's the Munsters theme," and I was like, "What?
Munsters?
What the fuck is this? No, fuck the Munsters. Kiss is better. That's more Rob Zombie-esque. Rob Zombie would have Kiss in his movie. Rob Zombie doesn't fuck around. He's great. I saw an interview with him where he's like, and I love Rob Zombie, and what I love about Rob Zombie, what he gave to the Halloween franchise was the kills were brutal and they were fucked up. And I was like, you know what? I can't help but admire that. And it was great.
I couldn't stand it. People probably thought I was
not the dialogue. The dialogue has aged so poorly. I'm like, oh my God, get this redneck shit out of here after a while. But
I stood up and flipped off the screen and walked out after the movie was over. I was like, fuck this movie. That's what I said.
That's what I did at Nightmare on Elm Street.
The remake?
Yeah. My buddy wanted, that was the first time he ever wanted to leave in the middle, but I'm like, nah, dude, we're sticking this one out. I got to see where this goes. Like he was out like midway through.
It was
it was more of an obligation thing at that point. But no, like back to Scream 3 though. Like,
what are you guys? Some of your thoughts on this? Like with we'll get like we talked earlier. Did you guess the killer in this one? Did you think there was going to be multiple killers? Yeah, this is one I did not see coming at all, for real.
Because he died. He supposedly died, but he died off screen. And I was like, what the fuck?
Now there is some, because originally there was supposed to be two killers. And
Yeah.
at one point in time, it was even like we talked about. Stu was supposed to be part 3. As like he was still alive.
Yes, he supposedly got paid for an
Yeah.
appearance.
And this
in
is one of the
Scream
reasons
3.
why I'm glad they rewrote 3.
Yeah. And then also, I think at one point in time, like even the line where she says, "I'm the killer in Scream 3." What's her name? Parker Posey. I think at one point in time she was supposed to be Roman's partner, and also the other girl that was playing the Sydney in the movie was supposed to be his partner.
And she got like a nothing death. If I
Yeah.
remember.
She's barely in the movie. She's like practically cut out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I can see why she is not a very good actress.
No, she wasn't. It's why you don't probably see her much anymore.
No, they cut her out for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just it just felt so forced and so weird. Like we have to tie this together, and this was the reason. And
At the time, but in retrospect,
it makes sense. In retrospect,
Well, here's the thing. I had a little different reaction, Justin, because you weren't in here earlier when we said this. But at the time, after the first movie, there was before social media was the way it was. We had group forums and chat rooms and stuff. Well, there was a forum for Scream, and we all had a pretty good conspiracy that was pretty solid that there had to be a third killer in the first film, because there's a few spots where there's no in the first film.
Oh, the first one. I thought
because there's only a few spots where Stu or Billy couldn't have been, so that when we finally got to the third film, and he does establish that yes, he was that third unseen killer. He was the one who motivated and set all this shit in motion. We get into the backstory of how Sydney's mom became who she was and where she was and why she did what she did and all that business, like the whole backstory. I think it's very well thought out. Is it tacked on to a point? Yeah, but it's no worse than making Freddy Krueger the son of 1,000 maniacs in Nightmare on Elm Street 3. It fits. That's what I like about it. And making his mom,
it definitely fit. I felt like Scream 4 fit, even though that feels like it was tacked on, and it was, it was Wes Craven's swan song, and I get that, but everything that was attached with Wes Craven, I felt like everything made sense. Every character made sense. Every character decision made sense.
What about you, Runner, Mike?
Oh, I'm gonna go off on it later. So
we're talking about Scream 3 still.
Scream
right?
3.
Yeah, the revelation of the brother. What do you guys think about the revelation?
I didn't think much of it. I mean, like everyone else, I didn't see it coming. I mean, I was like, really?
Yeah. I felt the same as you, man. I kind of accepted it though. I was like, really? But I was like, yeah, it kind of makes sense, but I don't know.
Mike?
Yeah, I thought it felt a little tacked on originally when I saw it.
Yeah, but what did you think, Runner? A little bit more in depth.
It's honestly, the more I think about it, it's not my favorite reveal. Honestly, not my favorite of the killers or whatever. At least of the first 3.
I find it hard to believe that he did it all by himself, and that.
Well, yeah, like I said, that there was supposed to be actually, I think maybe there was actually supposed to be 3 killers for the third movie at one point in time.
My one minor issue with 3 though is it had less to do with, well, really the killer part. It had more to do with the supernatural element of what Sydney was going through. I think Tom has that same exact issue too, but because you know how Sydney hears her fucking
it's
mom?
More of a dream than anything, and you can tell it's well, you see, watching it the more recent times, I see where her actually seeing her mom was the dream, her hearing the voice and shit, that could have been her brother. Because he has the voice box with all the different voices. And remember, he calls her on the phone and shit.
Yeah.
So
on the phone, yeah, I get that, but in the dream, I also understand that, and it makes Scream 5 make more sense for.
I'm gonna disagree with you on that.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to disagree on that
because they do a pretty good job of at least convincing me this time around. Because I tried to pay more attention that because of that this has all been a dream, and outside of the one time where the voice, because that's all you hear is the voice, really, because he's the scream mask underneath the because
Yeah.
you don't see the mom outside of the dream. That's my point. As I was
Yeah.
trying to get to. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I guess I don't know. Different strokes for different folks. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, you wait till we get to 5, man.
Oh,
Well, I have my disagreements too. And,
I know.
With the whole thing, and I'll try to be quiet because I know.
Well, it's a lot more, but that's just me.
No, that's why we wanted you on here too, because like you have the different opinion than a lot of us on 5.
Yeah,
so.
exactly.
Well, let's. I mean, I had a whole conversation with one person who loved Scream 5, one person who really didn't like Scream 5, and me. I was sort of in the middle, but I leaned towards one way after that conversation, and and we all agreed that we love the Scream movies, so it was a fun conversation, and it was fun putting a poop emoji over over Ghostface. I just like doing that. It was funny. It was fun. But anyways, I'll shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
for at least a couple minutes. I can't guarantee anything.
Okay, but like with the third movie, I like the reveal personally because I was in the camp of like learning about a third killer, and I think it gets very intense. The fight between him and her, it's much more intimate. It's much. I mean, I agree that maybe everything that he does, he felt like he needed a partner because he does way too much. But when it comes down to just him and her in that room, and they're like basically fighting this out. The intensity level, the dramaticness of it or whatever, I really enjoyed that. I really felt that, and so it's like how they go back and forth with the bulletproof vest and how it ends, and I dug that. So I didn't mind it. Also
adds a little bit more weight than it just being her mom cheating on her dad in the first movie with Billy's dad kind of being the. It adds a little bit more weight to it all, right? Like it gives it a bit more of a grounded, like in reality, like, okay, so what got her to that point, right? Well, because we see that clearly Sydney came out the way she did. That doesn't make any goddamn sense. Well, now we got a little bit more insight. She came back. She started her life over. She tried pretending to be something she wasn't and fell back into this lifestyle because of the damage that had been done to her in Hollywood. I liked that, like, look back at what brought her mother to this point of being who she was that got her killed, right? Like the whole thing revolving around that. I mean, and those are kind of sides of stories we don't always think about, right? Or that sometimes they don't even get into in these movies, but you stop to remember that, oh yeah, sometimes that's where some of the most memorable killers come from, when they have a reason or a rhyme to it, or the opposite when they don't have a reason or rhyme, like Michael Myers. It's one or the other usually, right? Like Freddy, why does he work? Because of his, who he is and his backstory and everything that kind of just feeds into this idea of how vile of a creature he is, right? Like everything that builds on his backstory doesn't really take away from the mythos of Freddy Krueger. It adds more to it. It's like he's a son of 1,000 maniacs. He's this child rapist and murderer and all these other things. He's the most vile creature on earth, and he didn't get a fair trial. So because of that, because of one stupid little thing, somebody in the supernatural world seen it in their wisdom to give him this power to get revenge, and that was because, the way Wes Craven put it in an interview basically was like, if you had the most vile creature on earth, the devil would be so proud of his creation that he would want to send it back, basically. Yeah, like that was kind of how he put it in so many words. So in Scream though, Craven is taking like a whole nother route with this, and I do like that Mike brought up the whole giallo side of it, because film, now watching it this time, I really kind of am seeing more of that. Yeah, especially when we get to the mansion scene near the end. Because it starts to feel more and more concentrated, and especially considering you start so wide open in Hollywood. Yeah, then it slowly gets smaller. Yeah. And it fits too, because like we said, even though Kevin Williamson didn't write this one, I'm sure some of his outline was used for it, and he was a huge fan of. He was inspired by Halloween. He flat out said he was inspired by Halloween. That's his favorite movie, and so it kind of fits that like the killer that actually started it all off is her brother. Yeah, and that goes along with the whole nod to Friday the 13th in the last film too. I love that. Yeah. Yeah. So it does echo. And in hindsight, you're right. I didn't see these things originally watching the films. But as over the years watching them, I have picked up on those things, Greg, and that's spot on. I agree with you.
Yep.
I picked on some of those, but also, the best insight that I've gotten, and probably the most knowledge that I've gotten, is listening to the commentaries, because then that is where you actually get into them. They tell you exactly their intentions of everything. And then you still will pick up little things after that, because, when they're watching the movie, they're like, oh yeah, that was that. But that's the important stuff, but not the little details that they were probably saying on set, like, hey, maybe include this, maybe include that. That may not have been in their minds, but it just shows, like the art department, like maybe they were just so in sync with each other. It just goes to show how great these films were.
Yeah, I agree.
Hey, real quick, before anyone else says anything, I'm going to go fill up a drink. Greg, do you want anything when I get back?
No, I'm good.
Go grab me a beer.
I'll be right back.
He was waiting just to do that. I'll see you in the kitchen with a knife.
I was.
Yeah, you were. You were. Yeah. No, go get the beer. You'll be right back. Yeah.
Your nipples better be hard when you get back.
Yes. I better see some nipples, and you better have a stacked rack.
And you better become a blonde and a hot one. You stupid motherfucker.
He's been waiting all night for that. He's been waiting all night for that.
I really was, but no, Justin just.
We're gonna come back, and Runner's gonna be a dumb blonde with big tits.
Well, that's not happening.
Well, you never know. You never know.
I love this. I hope Runner's Best Buy stabs him.
Oh, I haven't got to do that yet.
Yeah. Runner's Best Buy.
It's a running joke.
Your Best Buy. Fuck your Best Buy. Fuck your Best Buy. Fuck your Best Buy. Fuck your Best Buy.
It's a running joke on here for Runner, because he's always bragging about how he picked up this movie and that movie at his Best Buy.
Greatest Best Buy, yeah.
Yeah, we're like, our Best Buy don't carry jack
Best Buy
shit.
that admits that only exists in an alternate dimension, and he's only had one other person verify its existence.
Yeah. But I enjoy part 3. I enjoy part 1 and 2. I think 1 and 2 are the best. Part 3 I dig, and I enjoy the revelation. Yes, it probably would have worked better if we would have had more than one killer. But I think like the intimacy, the brother sister, the final confrontation at that point in time, which we thought was the final confrontation, because even when she's at her house and the door opens up and she just lets it stay open, like it's over now. So I liked that it ended in a good, decent trilogy type ending. So any final thoughts on part 3 before we move into part 4?
Not for me, Mike. I don't think Mike's there.
Okay.
No.
Mike?
No, we can go on to part 4.
Justin?
No.
I don't think Justin. Okay.
And Roman's gone. He said he'd be right back, so he ain't coming back.
He came back. Let's move on to part 4. And
it'd be funny. Why don't you remove him? Just say like, yep, he's gone. Just be like, we thought you were dead.
You're dead. He's not dead. He's the killer. That's
he's
the
gonna
rules.
come back and go, what the fuck's going on? That's the rules,
if he
man.
ain't dead, he's the killer.
Hey,
we don't want to let him back.
No. It's more like, now you gotta die. Those are the rules.
Those are the rules. And Breitbart, we'll kind of get to this because I think that'll be a little discussion on possibly part 6.
You didn't really call the cops, did you?
My mom and dad.
Look, man, that guy had Shaggy written all over him. Even but only in retrospect.
Coming too hard, you dick. Bleeding all over.
Hey, I'm Bill Woozy here.
Bill Woozy here.
Come on, baby, hit it. Give it up.
Hit me with the phone, dick.
We've reverted back to part 1.
Guys,
love
Matthew Lillard is the GOAT of Scream, and we all know
You're
that.
not wrong. You're not.
What?
I've interviewed him. Mike's met him. So
Yeah,
like,
I saw that, and I was like, "You son of a bitch! You didn't invite me on that fucking panel, you asshole!"
That was Paulie, man, invited me, so I couldn't invite people. But yeah,
How does Paulie have these fucking connections?
he has connections just like I do. It is what it is.
That son of a.
Shit,
It's okay. I met him at I met Matthew Lillard at a Horror Hound in Cincinnati, and he gave me a hug during the Q&A.
See, now you've actually got a hug from him. I've only got to talk to him, not really.
I need to get down to Horror Hound, man. It's like an hour from me.
Oh
in Cincinnati,
no!
so.
I am.
Horror Hound is one of
FanZcene.
my places I want to go. Yeah.
What's that?
Check out the private chat real quick.
What? Bring me back.
If
Dick.
you ain't dead, runner,
He
then
said-
you're the
he said,
killer.
Bring me back, Dick. I'm like, all
Well,
right.
I'm
Here's
fucking
a
alive.
handful for you,
I'll
Then you're the
bring you
killer.
back a dick if you want one. I mean,
And he's the killer. So
Phrasing,
don't trust him.
wording, okay.
and he doesn't have hard nipples or a blonde wig.
No.
And he's not related to Macaulay Culkin, so I think he's not the killer.
I think that's a good segue to 4.
Yeah, that's a good segue to
I've
4.
actually been looking forward to talking about part 4.
This is all I brought.
Oh, nice. Too bad it's not in a bottle, but yeah.
Yeah. Nice cold.
So, Scream 4, 10 years after or
10 years.
11 years technically after part 3.
And this is one I've been looking forward to talk to because when I first watched it,
Yeah.
I hated the movie. I hated it. And after watching it again, I think I know why I hated it the first time around, and I actually enjoy it now. I actually like it.
Why do you
now.
think you hated it the first time around?
Okay, so like I did not like the opening. I did not like the multiple fake out stab openings. I did not like that. I
That
think it
was
took
my-
away a bit of
that
the scariness, or no, what do I want to say? Not scariness. The weight of the situation going on. I think it takes away a little bit of it, which I will give credit to part 5, even though they blew it by not going all the way with the killing and the other girl in the part 5. But like the opening of part 5 is a really great, intense. It brings it back a little bit. But the opening of part 4, I did not like. And the thing is, because I researched a little bit about part 4 here, they wanted to go back to like characters, and I think the thing was like I think this has some really great characters in this movie and some really great actors. And as they slowly start getting killed off one by one, by the time it gets to the revelations and who the killers are, you're down to some of your least favorite characters left alive. And I think that's what really pissed me off. And I was a fan of Sydney, and when Emma Roberts is basically just has only stabbed her like twice in the stomach, and she does a jack shit. She just passes out, lays on the floor. And I mean, I've seen Sydney be thrown from the roof of a house, fall on a boat, be stabbed in the shoulder, and like keep fighting, and then all of a sudden she's down. And then
I knew Sydney was still alive. What bothered me was when they're like, it's touch and go.
yeah,
It's like
it's like she was barely. It was like nothing.
She faked that fucking death. I was waiting for it to be a setup. That's what pissed me off at the end of 4. But other than that, I agree with you, Greg, and I think I know why 4 has aged better. Because I didn't hate it when it came out, but I didn't love it like I did the other films. I was like, it's all right. I like the message. I like it's got some great ideas.
I always liked part 4 better than 3.
I can probably understand why now, Mike, because that movie is more relevant now than it was when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, 3, I just never really cared for the whole Hollywood story in part 3. That was my problem with
And
part 3.
some of the rules, like between Macaulay Culkin's brother and the other guy that's setting up the new rules. I mean, they nailed some of the shit that's going on in today's world. Like with the kid with the filming everything, he said in like 10 years, everybody's going to be filming their lives online.
Well, not only that, it has all
they
the woke
nailed that
rules
shit.
in it. Like they have the gay rule.
Yes, and which which they break in part 5 because which is another rule they fucking break. I noticed that because when that kid says, "But wait, I'm gay," and he like looks at him and I think that's ballsy that they still kill him even after the reveal.
Not only that, it
that's
gets the
actually funny.
point across what part 5 is trying to make and fails. But does get across, and that is that the fans love the original series, and that's what the opening is about, Greg. The opening is about no matter how convoluted it got, the fans still paid attention, which the fifth film forgets. They flat out fucking say, nobody gives a shit about anything but the first one. No, that movie was made by the people who are out there going, it's because of you we can't have good movies because I killed your child.
No.
And you can't say it's not because that's what they make the killers, but we'll save it.
Yeah, we'll save it.
We're going to get into a good debate, I have a feeling.
We definitely do.
Plus, I mean, like,
but yeah,
I will say about Scream 4, I agree.
Yeah.
It does exactly what Scream 5, I think, was trying to do, but Scream 4 did it better because it was done by the man himself. And the last time to do it, it was indeed Wes Craven.
And as Sydney says at the end, and is the first time I ever cheered for Sydney, is when she says, don't fuck with the original, bitch.
Yeah.
Boom.
Right.
Yeah. Like, it was right up there with when, like, hey, there's one thing that you forget about Billy, in Scream 2. I fucking killed him.
Yes, I love that line too. That was pretty good.
That Sydney is the fucking backbone.
She is a badass in this one.
Yeah,
yes.
she is a badass. I really enjoyed her. Part 4.
She is Scream. Like, I love Courtney Cox. I love David Arquette.
I hated Courtney Cox in the first few movies, and then I grown to like.
Well, you're supposed to hate her because
I honestly feel like
that's her role.
To be honest, the first half of this movie, they give her nothing to do. I was glad they figured out something for her to do.
Honestly, if I'm honest, I think she should have died in part 4. I think Ghostface should have killed her in that.
You're probably
loft.
right. You're probably
really
right.
do think she
I agree with you because you're right. Because that would have justified Dewey not wanting her to be a part of it in the first place.
Exactly.
Because that's the only loose bit. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Plus, it brings her arc to full circle because, like, you're supposed to hate her in the first 2 movies, and then she's this like hungry reporter. She doesn't care if people like her. She finds this love, and she's finally settled down. But she wants to get back into it. She's softened, but she's still got that attitude, and she wants to prove herself one last time. What better way to send her out? Well,
not only that, Greg, she would have happened on a note of her realizing that the killer is doing exactly what she's trying to do.
Exactly.
So that means she's way out of it. She's way out of her league. And I think that's where, you're right. Because she has nothing to really fucking do from here on out.
Exactly.
In the series. And the fifth film is a testament to that, but we'll get to that. But anyway.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
No, I was going to say, I understand, you're supposed to hate her in the first, couple movies or whatever, but, I grown to like her. I think it was definitely, the third movie or whatever, and I was surprised at how much I've grown to like the character.
Parker Posey makes you love her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you love Parker Posey because of it. That is part of it. Those two and that's what I was missing. It's like, I wish they would have found a way. I know it would have made no fucking sense. But just to have Parker Posey somehow show up.
They do try a little bit, I think.
Yeah.
With she died in the third one. So
that I think it's that, but also in 4, she really impressed me a lot in 4, and now that I rewatched the first 2, I'm like, you know what, she doesn't bother me as much anymore. Because that's why character development is so fucking important.
Mm-hmm.
No, but she's probably runs her best course in this with the whole thing with the kids. I do like that, but I agree with Craig. She should have died in the bar.
Yeah, I think she should have died. And I think that, they tried to do a little bit of the Parker Posey stuff with Hicks, Deputy Hicks, and her with vying over Dewey. Just a little bit of it, but it didn't work. And I really liked her character. And I really think they screwed over her character after watching the 4th one back again. Because they fucked her characters in part 5 different. She doesn't even seem like the same.
She's not
person.
even the same character. I was just gonna
fucking
thank you. Fucking thank you. Jesus Christ, I was thinking that through the whole time watching this last time. I'm like, what the fuck did they do to Deputy Judy? She was one of the best characters.
She was one of the best characters in the second, and that she's completely different.
It was very interesting because you didn't know, she grew up with Sydney, but she didn't remember her because obviously she felt like Sydney was one of the popular kids who got a lot of attention and shit like that, and because she had a bunch of trauma, it's just maybe Judy had a bunch of shit that she was going through and she kept to herself, and and maybe she internalized all of that. But
that was the red herring, though, Justin.
I know,
they definitely
I know.
implied that, but yeah.
Yeah, it was very implied. I know that was the red herring, and I knew the moment I saw that on the screen that like she's not the killer. She's
right.
It's too obvious. Like, you've never made somebody this obvious of a red herring other than Billy Loomis, maybe. But Billy Loomis turned out to be the fucking killer.
Well, that's just because that was the obvious, because it went against the grain of the red herring, right? Like, that was the whole reason.
Yes, it went against the grain of that, because like it turns out, like, she's not gonna kill Gale Weathers because she doesn't like her lemon squares.
No, and I think it would have been interesting for Dewey's character in a turn to have to deal with the loss of Gale, especially when the way you see him in part.
Oh no,
I don't. 5.
I don't disagree with that, and depending on how. Oh man, depending on how 6 goes, and if we get a 7, like this will be like it'll be like kind of a. And I was ironically rewatching or coincidentally rewatching our conversation of Halloween Ends. Or Halloween Kills. Halloween Kills. Halloween Ends. We're going to have that discussion, I imagine, at some point. Oh, my goodness. I have heard a bunch of shit about that. And
will it ever really end, though?
It is.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. Because you gave Halloween Kills a glowing review. I hated the ending. I've changed my mind on the ending, and it's one of my top 4 favorite Halloween films.
I don't know if I could do that myself. But
I can definitely do that because it lives up to the name. It did everything that the first Halloween didn't do for me, and that's not the point though. But I feel like if they with Halloween, I'll save it for another day. But if they go the Halloween route and they make another trilogy, it could be like a Force Awakens, Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker sort of situation if they don't do it right. That's what worries me. Do I have a case here? I don't know. We'll see when Scream 6 comes out, and I know it's like Scream ! Which is fucking stupid.
Dumb.
Yeah.
Dumb.
They were like, hey, Nev Campbell, the backbone of the franchise, we're not gonna pay you enough. But
I'm gonna tell you when we get to that. I'm honest. Honestly, I'm glad she's not returning because she deserves better. She deserves better than that last movie, and she deserves better than whatever they're going to do in part 6. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
I have no faith in part 6.
That is a red flag. So it's going to be like, oh man.
Well, as I said, like part 4 really nailed everything that I think part 5 was trying to do, but that's the problem. We've been here, done that, did that, and it was already done by Wes Craven.
Yeah, and it was done better because it was
done better. Yeah,
I don't know why.
Ahead of its time.
Part 4 was definitely way ahead of its time. Much like in a way like the first movie kind of began a reinvigorated horror, and at the same time changed it in a lot of ways. Yeah, I agree. Scream 4 was definitely ahead of its time as far as a film. And is it a great film? No, but it definitely has a lot more to say now than it did in 2011 when it came out. I feel like.
Yeah, I feel like I have a better appreciation of part 4 because I really truly hated the film the first time I watched it, and I only had seen it like maybe twice. So this was the first time I watched it in probably a good 10 years, and I gotta say I really enjoyed it. And one of the things that really bugged me, I know I want to get to you guys, Runner and Justin and Mike here in a second, but one of the things that really bugged me is I did not like Emma Roberts. I think she is the weakest link in the movie. She's not, I don't think she was up to the acting challenge of what she was supposed to do, but she goes from being this really smart character because she beats the shit out of herself, stabs her, and does all this. And then this is where you find out about, because I did some research in it, because the ending that they have was not supposed to be the ending, because this movie once again was written by Kevin Williamson, but then they took it from him, and the same guy that wrote Scream 3 came in and rewrote this, and they changed the ending, because his original ending was it was supposed to be left ambiguous. Did Sidney and Kirby, did they both die or did they live? Because it was after Sydney's cousin, I can't remember her name at the moment, did all that stuff to herself, and they will her out. She's with the press, and she's she's the hero. That somebody was supposed to run out and say she's alive, and and that's where it ends, or something like she's going to make it or something.
No.
And it was supposed to set up a new trilogy.
No, but it was the fucking the Weinsteins. It was the goddamn Weinsteins who did this. And
the Weinsteins did. Yeah, they didn't like the ending.
Surprisingly, it wasn't Harvey as much as it was Bob. Of all people, I thought Harvey was going to be the.
Well, that's because this is Bob's domain. Okay, for those who don't know,
Bob
and Harvey did not work on the same movies very often. Usually, it was Bob made the movies that made the company money, and Harvey made the movies that made all the prestige and cost all the money. See, Bob overseen Dimension, which was all the Scream shit,
the
Halloween shit. Hellraiser, all that business. And the Miramax side was mainly handled by Harvey. Yeah, he handled the English Patient, that kind of prestigious bullshit, and the Tarantino films and all that stuff.
Yeah, but it was Bob Weinstein who had his creative decisions that fucked this movie up, and probably fucked up a lot of other movies.
The only thing I hate about this movie, and I don't know if that'll lead us into the next few, but somehow Kirby survives, and they don't show us how.
I
wanted her to live.
That's what I was saying. This is because the original ending was, and Wes Craven has confirmed that Kirby lived. He has confirmed
in the commentary.
Yeah, and it was always the plan for her to live.
She was easily the best character in that movie. So
yeah, she was the best character in that movie.
Yeah, she was great.
And she wasn't supposed to know that Jill Roberts was one of the killers. And if Sidney had been in a coma like they had planned, oh man, Scream 5 would have been amazing.
Exactly, because that's what was supposed to happen. It was like she thinks, Jill, was it Jill? Was her name? Was Emma Roberts' character's name? She was supposed to have survived, and then you were not supposed to know if Sidney or Kirby survived, and maybe if when Sidney survived, she was supposed to have amnesia.
Because you want to know what? Yeah, they do set that up. But you know what? I don't know about the amnesia thing. Fuck that. Just have her be in a coma still.
Yeah,
they should have kept going. And because I was thinking that when I watched Scream 5 this time. This is such old fucking hat. There's only two places this movie series has not gone yet. One, they should have either made Dewey the killer in the fifth film. And you and I think got into that conversation before, Greg. And so the short version of the reasons is, his sister got killed in the first movie and nobody gives a shit about that. Nobody ever brings it up. And all this shit was brought on by Sidney and all that kind of shit. So that would make him maybe crack, especially after losing Gail for the third time or whatever. And shit like that.
But why kill Randy?
Well, Randy's already dead in part 2, so.
Yeah.
So make him a killer later as opposed to.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about Scream 5.
Okay.
The only other way you can do it is if you have the movie, and this is another way you could have done it with that, but it would have been weird. The only other way, and this is where I think the fifth film would have worked had they done with that with the original ending, is you actually have a movie where you already know who the killer is through the whole movie. Because we've done it so many times, the whole thing is, it's a whodunit the whole time. The only way you can twist that is twist it on its side, and we, the audience, know who the killer is, but the characters don't. And that's the only way you can do that, right? Is through one of those means. And that's the only thing this series really hasn't done yet. Otherwise, that's one of the main problems by the time we get to Scream 5. But anyway.
Well, that's true. But also, you've never had, so far, a killer who has survived.
Well, that too.
For God's sake, can we have one killer that lives?
I would like to have seen one live.
Yeah, like just one of them, and maybe that will be
It would be kind of Sideshow Bob though if they get out, and it would be very much like Halloween. I think at that point. Like,
I don't give a fuck.
but if there was
I can
anyone
get-
that should have lived, it probably should have been Roman. To be honest
Yes,
with you.
I would like to have seen
No,
Roman
no.
walk out alive somehow. I
Oh,
think that would have
should
been
have?
pretty cool.
Okay.
Which one was
but
Roman?
because
what-
him being alive but like incarcerated he's still a threat.
And there's
Right.
plus there's been rumors of Stu still being alive out there to
Which
this
that
day.
whole thing, I still no, he's deader than a fucking doornail. I'm sorry. He got stabbed too many times. His head crushed by a fucking television. Dude's dead. Let him die.
Yeah, do you know how heavy those TVs are?
I agree. Yeah, but part of me
No,
really
no,
wants
I
him to be
understand.
alive.
My
I-
cousin wound up in a hospital from one of those old tube TVs falling on her, and it was only like a 13-inch from mind you, and that was a 25-inch that fell on Stu's head.
I don't know if it was that big. Was it?
I'm pretty sure it was a 25-inch.
It was pretty big, yeah, about
It's a
25
good sized
inches.
TV. They're heavier than hell.
They were, yes.
But it doesn't mean that he can't, live, after that. Even though the cops are, the ambulance came, hours later, and Dewey even refers to him in the present tense in the new film. It's like
That's stretching it though.
He said, "Oh, Stu is Billy Loomis's accomplice."
Yeah, but they've also said several times over that they're both dead. That's the other thing. Like, so
it's
if you haven't at
contradicting.
least,
It's contradicting.
yeah,
but
that's the thing is you'd almost have to refer to as one of them is still being in prison and shit like that, or
or like close to that. I don't know.
The only thing you would have had is if you had that and then Stu got out because he was so pissed because Billy got all the attention.
Which I do think they focused too much on Billy. We have not really heard much about Stu's history. What about Stu's family?
Unceremoniously,
we get one family member in part 5,
his
and he
fucking family member is
pointless.
barely a point in the movie.
It's fucking pointless, and it's like
My
after
mom and
after
dad
he
are
gets
going to be
killed.
so mad at me, but are they?
Yeah. What about his parents? What happened there? It's just.
Didn't he have any brothers and sisters?
I think
never
we
really
spent
know.
too much on Billy.
Well, he had a
personally.
sister. He had a sister apparently, and it was his nephew that was
that gets killed by the car. Well, that's
Which
a good
was
segue
so
into 5.
stupid.
It is so stupid.
That's probably a good place to segue into 5. What do you think, Greg?
Yeah, if everybody got any final
Anybody
words
got
on
any more
4,
thought-
Runner,
final
Mike,
thoughts on 4?
Justin, any final thoughts?
I'm gonna hold my thoughts. I'm gonna run across the street to get some beer, and I'll be right back.
Runner already
I'll
did that.
be
joke.
right back.
I've been trying to figure out how do you share something real quick, because I cannot figure out how to share something.
Down at the bottom of your thing is present.
What do you?
Oh, present. Okay.
And then present screen.
Oh,
and
there he is.
then-
You used to say share.
Yeah,
Okay.
they just changed it to
I'm going to
present.
share screen real quick. Show you guys something that somebody here wants me to show you guys. So.
Oh no.
A6.
So
Is it what
if it pops up here. Yeah. If it pops up, I usually don't share things. Did it show up yet or what?
Now it is finally.
There
Well,
you go.
it ain't showing up, but
It takes
we're waiting for it to load.
Yeah, my stuff takes forever to share. I haven't shared stuff forever, but there you go.
That's you
Justin,
hugging Matthew Lillard, huh?
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Matthew Lillard.
Pink pants.
Yeah, I know. Everyone makes fun of me of the pink pants, but you know what? Fuck them.
I'm pretty sure you wore those when I met you two at some point.
I didn't wear pink pants.
I'm sure you did. For some reason, in my mind, you wore pink pants.
Maybe pink shorts. I don't know.
Maybe it was pink shorts. Yeah, that's what it was.
I'm probably wearing this right now. If I'm gonna be perfectly honest.
Oh shit.
Yes,
but no. That's why I'm like Matthew Lillard is the GOAT, and they've been setting this up like low key for all these years.
And the truth of the matter was, he was actually supposed to be in the original part 5, because he said so on an interview he just did recently. And like they told him that, are you ready to come back for part 5? Because he was supposed to be in part 5, not the part 5 we got, but the part 5 that Wes Craven and Kevin Williamson and all of them were supposed to be making.
Oh yeah, and I even saw on Twitter that somebody asked Kevin Williamson like, "Hey, did you make a Scream 5 script?" And he's like, "I got it. Nobody wants it." I'm like, "What?"
Yeah, after a while, Kevin Williamson was not as in high demand.
Yeah, he lost some of his shine.
One trick pony, like I said. Kind of two trick, I guess, if you count the Dawson Creek thing. But all Dawson Creek really is a Scream without the killing.
Yeah. But
well, that's kind of boring. Dawson, like what? I don't know.
It's true.
I don't know, but I'll be right back.
Killing Mrs. Tingle was probably
and if you don't come back,
decent.
Yeah, Killing Miss Tingle was good, but sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Tom.
no. As I say, funnily enough, he wrote that before Scream, but yeah.
Yeah. But Mike, Runner, do you guys want to say anything about part 4 before we segue into the one that I'm sure all of us but Justin will rip into?
Yeah. Okay, so Scream 4, I did watch it recently today. The second time I've seen it, and I enjoyed it a lot more than I did the first time. Well, here's the thing. So first time I watched Scream 4, I think I watched both 3 and 4 around the time the new movie came out in theaters, and I thought about seeing 5 in the theater, but I just skipped it. I was like, I'll just wait till it hits digital, because I heard mixed reviews on it and whatnot, but we'll get to that later. So Scream 4, I didn't like, I wouldn't go as far as say I hate it like Greg did, but like I did, like it just was my favorite. Like I was just like it didn't put
I have a new respect for Scream 4, especially after watching it all these years and knowing and being a little older and stuff.
Well, no, I was just about to get to that. Like I didn't care for it all that much. I was like, yeah, like it's got some problems in it. That I thought were like, like I'll probably won't watch this ever again. I'd rather just watch the first 3 movies or whatnot. But watching this, I'm like, yeah, this is a movie I could rewatch now, and I've grown to appreciate it a lot more now.
And like I said, I liked Scream. I liked it better than the third one. I also have a little bit of. It was the first horror film that I actually took my son to see in the theater, so it's kind of got a little sentimental value to it to me too. But I do like it. I do like it better than the third film. And,
I still have that one problem though, and Greg might agree with me, is fucking skinny Emma Roberts.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, she's annoying. She's the weakest link actor. I could buy Macaulay Culkin's little ass brother, because they're both about the same height. And I was noticing this too. Yeah. Did you see the knife in his hand when he's stabbing Kirby? How much bigger it is? And then like when they reveal, Neve Campbell is like literally crouching the whole time. She's like crouching, and she's not even tall herself. It's like she's crouching when he's holding her. She's crouching, holding her stomach when they're standing over her, and they're shooting Emma Roberts and Rory Culkin up from the bottom with the camera to make them look taller. It doesn't work. And then when they get to the hospital and they tell her that Sydney can still be alive, she gets stupid. She's like, okay, Sydney's still alive. So she's going to get out of bed and go kill Sydney in the hospital. And then with all the injuries that she sustained, she just starts throwing people around, beating the fuck out of Dewey, throwing Neve Campbell up against the wall. It's like, what the hell?
that was weird. It's like, I'm like, yeah, because that I mean, I have a bigger, it's even worse in the next movie.
Well, that's the issue of having a 6 foot, 200-pound fucking stuntman playing Ghostface in every movie, right? Is especially in 4 and 5, when you have a killer that is a girl who literally, like Emma Roberts does not work. Bitch is not much more than 5 foot nothing.
Exactly.
And if she weighs 100 pounds, I'll be surprised. The wind would blow her over. There's no fucking way that she did any of that shit. She is never, they had to have thought that through a little bit better, because that is my one big complaint and gripe with that film. And it carries even more into the 5th film. Yeah. Is that if you're going to have a woman killer, then you have to have 2 different stunt people, one who is more regular sized and making it a bit more believable. We all understand that one of these characters probably them. And when you have enough people that are roughly close to the same size and height and weight, whatever, fine. But
Mhm.
it takes away from that reality of it, right? Like, how can this 6 foot something fucking stuntman all of a sudden be one of these 17-year-old kids? It just
Exactly.
doesn't fucking work. And the only one who does work in part 5 is the one boyfriend, right?
Yeah, because Jack Quaid is like 6
Jack
foot.
Quaid.
Like,
But in
so
part 4, as you said, you have a problem. Both of those actors, especially considering
They're
Rory
both about the
Culkin is
same height.
not a very big fucking guy. So that is a problem, yes. None of Dewey should dwarf them all. That's the problem.
He definitely. Delete Stevens. You have a good night. He's going to go. He hasn't seen part 5, so he's ducking out. So he doesn't want to get spoilers.
Yeah,
so
don't. Yeah, if you don't want spoilers for 5, no, I guess
yeah,
it's the
you
time to duck
probably
out.
won't like it. So, but let us know next week or whatever.
Yeah.
But yes, and like even when Emma Roberts reveals when she comes out in the costume, you could literally see the costume is hanging off of her, and all of a sudden Ghostface is like a foot, 2 feet shorter all of a sudden than he was throughout the whole movie. And when she pulls off the mask and stuff, it doesn't work. It doesn't work.
And she's so tiny. That's the problem.
It is too.
So that's my one problem I can think of for 4. Other than that, it's way better movie than I remember first time.
It has aged like wine.
Definitely. It has because when I was watching that, I was like, I'm digging this. I was really into it because it was like watching a new Scream movie again, that I actually liked.
Right? Yeah,
yeah, I've seen it a couple more times than you have, Greg, but this is the first time I've watched it in probably, no, it's been at least 5 or 6 years or better.
It's been like 10 years for me because I watched it like twice when it first came out, and that was it. So that was 2011.
It was the first one I didn't see in the theater. I know that. Excuse me.
Yeah, it was me. Same here. Other than 5, I didn't see it.
But I think that was because it was a little bit more of a limited release because it was Weinstein Company. Because this was the first Scream movie to lose money.
Yep.
Oh,
and which is why I'm kind of surprised they even jumped on the other one anyway. But yeah.
Well, I think we all know why they went on 5 after Halloween.
Yeah. That makes sense. And Paramount buying the brand and everything. But yeah.
But
so yeah, moving on to 5, I suppose.
Let's move on to 5 because this movie was a piece of shit.
Oh boy!
I refuse to rewatch it for the stream. I think they messed up big time. This is one of my least favorite casts of the whole series. And
what cast? You barely get to know them.
Exactly. They ruined.
Oh my God!
Hicks.
I just left, and then I get back, and you're like, "Oh, we're just talking about Scream 5."
You're perfect timing. We just started.
Perfect timing. We just started.
I fucking hate this movie. I'm sorry. I cannot stand Scream 5. I refuse to rewatch it for this, like I said.
I did rewatch it for this.
Yeah, go ahead. You guys to Runner, Tom, everybody that rewatched it, talk about it.
I fucking hated it worse this time than I did the first time, and I have more articulated reasons why, which I'm sure we'll break down. But
yeah,
as we said before, this movie sets out and fails to do everything that 4 did. And not only that, it spits in the face of the fans. Literally, in some respects. I mean, yeah, it can't literally spit in us, but it kind of is in a way. Like, I don't know any other way to put it. This movie is, they should have never done this. I don't understand this. There was a decent movie to be had here, but this isn't it. They don't give us anything with these new characters at all. We're just supposed to give a shit because they're somehow related to some of the original characters. And let's get into that for a moment. The dumbest fucking character in the history of the Scream franchise. Now, you notice we've had a favorite one in every one of them. I don't have a new favorite here, but I do have a new one that I hate. And that is Sam. And I'll tell you why. Because Sam, not only can the actress not act, but this whole idea of twisting that fucking she is the daughter
oh my God
of Billy fucking Loomis.
Yeah, that's a reach.
And not only that, this whole like thing that she's seeing visions of him of
fucking Obi-Wan fucking Kenobi all of a sudden
and winking and positive and all like, oh my God, I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
It's so bad.
Fucking kidding me. But I will give this movie one thing. I will take one thing back. they did at least do with Nev Campbell what I said that they didn't do exactly, because I didn't realize in my first watching of this film, by the time she comes into the movie, I was already hating the movie. Because the first 20 or so minutes, I was on board. I didn't hate it.
I mean, the opening, like I said, the opening is great. It's very intense.
It kind of gets you back into the world. It got a fresher feel to it, but yeah, we get to see, Courtney Cox and Nev Campbell here and there, and then David Arquette and stuff like that. And yeah, the first she's like, "Yep, I'm good. See you later. I'm not going," and she doesn't. And that's what I said she should have done in the first place. But I didn't realize her return had everything to do with Dewey dying. But that was an awful quick return for just finding out. Right. She must not have been that fucking far away, or she found a quick plane.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah. So, but even when she's there, Courtney Cox and her have nothing to fucking do until the end. They literally are just hanging around. And none of the cops are just like, "Why are you here?"
Exactly.
Because they have nothing to do with any of this shit. Nothing.
And
even Gale Weathers has nothing to add at this point.
Exactly. And they're too hell bent on trying to make this like, see, we're like the first movie. Look how great we are. We're doing things just like the first movie. You remember the first movie?
Yes.
Hey, you like the first movie. You remember Billy? He was in the first movie. And it's like, yeah, what else you got?
And then when the movie really lost me was when Randy's niece was going off.
Oh, yes.
About about toxic fandom and how fans only give a shit about the first movie. And I'm like, no, we give a shit about continuity. There's a difference. Okay? You guys are taking the wrong lessons learned from some of this shit. You clearly have some idiots behind this who have an agenda against fans and how they view things that are, out in the sphere now, as far as this frustrated young filmmaker comes to mind, I guess.
You do have a point, Tom, because they specifically mention, it's in the YouTube scene when Jack Quaid is eating Pizza Hut.
Yeah.
That Stab 8, directed by Ryan Johnson.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, direct reference. I think we all fucking noticed that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
there's a lot of people who think that that's making fun of Ryan Johnson. Yeah, it kind of is, but you're not. It's like,
but
then
I look at the credits, and they thank him in the credits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well,
and you know what's funny though?
But here's the thing though.
Go ahead.
Here's the thing though, and this opened my mind to both sides of the argument. One, it's like, first off, I don't think, like, a lot of people had said this earlier. When the movie came out, people said, "Oh, this is like if The Quartering became a serial killer because of a movie he didn't like, or like if Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers decided." And I'm like, no, that's not the case.
It is, though.
And I don't think so, because
it still is.
No.
I'll hear your argument out, though. But listen, I'll listen. Sorry.
Here's why. Because there are real, actual toxic people, and what I would separate from someone like The Quartering, from an actual fan who's fucking crazy, is that there are people like Dead Meat made a cameo in there, and they're criticizing the movie under a different name. Do you guys know who Dead Meat is?
Yeah, I know Dead Meat James. They're the actual people. They're him and his wife. They're the ones doing the YouTube video.
Yeah. That's a representation of us per se, not necessarily the psychos, the doxers. The people who will put a SWAT, like, will SWAT your house, or dox your name on the internet, or like the Raylos, people like that. Those are the people who will threaten your life, like actual death threats. Those are the fucking crazy people. Us are like the Dead Meat, in that, in terms of, Dead Meat, the channel. That's us. Not the psychopaths. That's the distinction that I want to make. Even though we want to think like we are trained to think, oh my God, you know, they are portraying us as toxic fans. But I'm like, there are real, actual psychopaths out there that would kill Rian Johnson because of The Last Jedi. We are.
Has he had any death threats? Really? Has anybody even tried?
I really still think
I'm saying
placating that. I know there are actual toxic fans out there that could be crazy enough to do something like that, but I really think that these toxic fans are supposed to be like the people complaining about.
It is exactly that, because the boyfriend is that character. No, the boyfriend flat out fucking says that he's one of those fans. He says it's all about the first movie. The only thing he didn't say is that Stab 8 ruined my fucking childhood. Right? Like literally at that point. And you're like, I don't know. I hate that fucking character. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was bad.
No, I mean, I disagree. I disagree because I don't see myself in that.
I see this movie. You may disagree, Runner, and there's other people who do see it from your perspective. And I can see from a point of view where you can see that, right? But I listened both times, and I made sure I really listened this time because of what they say and how they're saying it, because they misinterpret our arguments is what this whole thing is built upon, right? That's my problem with it. So in that, you guys can see the misinterpretation there, and I can understand where that's coming from, because it does kind of sound like it's coming from that one toxic side. But when you really listen to what they're saying, the really what Scream is saying is that this should be a remake, but because of you, the toxic fans, we're forced to have Neve Campbell and Courtney Cox hang around and do nothing for an hour.
Yeah.
They literally practically say that at one point in the movie, and I keep saying literally, so I'm sorry about that.
They also say, like, our movie has to have stakes because we got Dewey. And
exactly. You know what?
This tiny little person, you know, Amber, and I'm like, bullshit.
Oh my God.
And you're right. And you're right. And there are certain things that his character says that could be interpreted, and this is where I understand where you and a few other people I've argued this are coming from. And I'm not saying you're wrong. I could be wrong in the end. But this is why I say this, because I can see where you're saying that, because there's certain arguments that are made there that sound like they're coming from these people who are trying to make these reboots, because these people are trying to make these reboots, but they flat out say it, that this is fan fiction, that these guys are creating fan fiction.
Mm-hmm.
And when they talk about, like, and they bring in Star Wars and invoke some of these other things, they're misinterpreting what we have a problem with. And that's how I know it's us, because it's the same misinterpretations that those people on the other side always make, the bots, as we call them, or whatever,
and I felt
always make about us.
Exact way that you did when I first saw it. Like,
plus, I did research into who actually wrote and directed the film, and I have a reason to believe that that's where this is coming from. But anyhow,
well, then why?
Continue. Because they were YouTubers themselves, and they were like people who felt like toxic fandom was a fucking problem. And all this other stuff. So it's like it's this.
Were they?
Yeah.
Can you send me a link to that? Because if that's true, I will not go and see. And you know, I make this a promise. I will not pay money to see Scream 6 if they were talking about toxic fans, especially when it came to The Last Jedi. If you can find it, show me. And I will jump.
Well, I'll shut up for a little bit anyway. I'm going to look for this article. So, Mike, you haven't got to say much on this. What did you think of Scream? I have not heard your.
I'm sorry. I feel like it's partially my fault.
I thought it was pretty average when I saw it in the theater. I thought it was pretty average, and then until the ending, and I didn't care for the third act.
I didn't either.
I thought the whole toxic fan thing was really lame.
Yeah,
it was a lame motive. And I didn't buy it, so yeah. I haven't seen it since I saw it in the theater.
Yeah, I can talk about it real quick since I watched it a few hours ago. This really sucks because I wanted to like this movie when I first saw it, and it gave me a really bad taste in my mouth. And watching it again, it's like I see a really good fucking movie in here, but they fucking blew it. And it's just like
it's got a nice brutality to it that I really enjoyed.
Yeah. Like
it's got nice kills.
No,
yeah. I mean,
that's the problem. Like,
well, I wouldn't even say that the kills are nice, but
well, no,
you
there's
know,
some. Well, no, it's brutal as fuck at
You know
times.
what I mean? Like, yeah, they're good kills. They do like a good job of setting kills. Because like even like with Deputy Hicks, was I think they destroyed her character. I think they do that scene. I really like how they ended up killing her, how they tricked her, and like the opening scene is great. Even though he's pointless, killing Stu's cousin was a good scene. And like but the thing is, they were too afraid to finish the job when it came to the final act bloodbath. Nobody died.
It wasn't a big bloodbath. You know, in retrospect, it's just like you know, an argument that I heard was they kept all the women and minority characters alive, and then they killed off all the, you know, the straight white dudes.
Yeah, but besides that, I mean, it was like they were too afraid to kill any of the new cast, period, other than the people that for fodder.
That were disposable. And like Liv, she was gorgeous. I loved her. She had a great, like, that was a great first start. Not a great character at all, but like for a first time actress, she was awesome.
Which one was she?
She was the
Was
one
she the girl
pink-
that was
pink
dating
dyed hair.
Randy's. Was she the one dating Randy's nephew?
Yep.
Yeah, I liked her, but she was all right.
She's the Ryan Johnson fangirl.
Oh
No,
boy, yeah.
she wasn't. No, she wasn't.
Motherfucker. They said, oh my god, they literally say that in the fucking movie when was it Randy's niece like talks about the whole thing about sequels and all that. They mentioned like, oh, in the last Stab movie, the guy who directed Knives Out directed or whatever, and then what's her name, Liv or whatever, was like, oh, I like that one, and he's like, and I forget.
Oh yeah.
And no, and then what's her name? Randy's niece. What's her name? I forget her name, but she was like, oh yeah, that's because you have poor taste. And that, what?
Mindy,
yeah, no, Mindy like tells her after she says that, yeah, that's because you have poor taste. Like, yeah.
Well, I thought she was referring to like, oh, Knives Out sucked, you know, in her opinion.
No.
She liked Knives Out.
No, she liked Knives Out. No, did she say she liked Knives Out, or did she like Stab, whatever the last movie was? The one that
I think she was saying she liked Knives Out, and I'm with her on that. But that was my interpretation, and I haven't seen that movie in months. So
I didn't care for. Oh, I think I saw Knives Out twice. At first, I was like, it's fine, I guess, and then I watched it a second time, and it was boring, honestly.
Well, it's great the first time when you see it in the theater, you know, and you know what? I give props.
I wasn't.
It's it's the only time I will give props to Ryan Johnson, because I'm like, look, good. You found something that you love to do. You like to make these clue movies, these murder mysteries that subvert expectations, and you found your niche. Stick with that. More of this, less of you being involved in Star Wars, even though the damage was fucking done.
Well, that's great, but that's my problem. Is after like attacking all the fans and shit, I wasn't gonna see Knives Out in the theater because, you know.
I did it for $5. I was like, sure.
Yeah,
it was in the matinee. I was like, fuck it. You know what? And while I was getting popcorn, I'm just like, you know what? I'm not going to go into this movie predetermined to hate this. I'm going to go into this movie open-minded.
I was too when I watched it at home. But let's talk about Scream. So basically, I'm gonna still talk about. So what is it? I hated most of the new characters, the new kids. I couldn't
stand them.
I couldn't stand them. The only one I kind of liked was Tara. That's it. It's the only new character I kind of liked. That's it.
She's the third killer.
I don't know, but like, she's honestly like, yeah.
I thought it was so stupid. It's like this whole movie, nobody can do anything, but the girl that's been sliced up, crippled, can barely walk, is kicking the killer's asses. It was so fucking stupid.
No, and she's smarter than her fucking sister who's older.
And then fucking one of my least favorite scenes in the movie, it goes back to one of the stupidest scenes in the Texas Chainsaw 3D when she kicks the chainsaw, the Leatherface says, "Do your thing, cuz." You fucking got her seeing Billy Loomis in the mirror saying, "Grab that knife and use your psychotic side." It's like, are you fucking stupid? That is the dumbest shit I've ever seen in my life. It was so dumb. I couldn't handle it. And all the rules that's like been set up by the previous movies with Randy and like the other people, like in part 4 when they say the only way you can survive now is if you're gay in a horror movie. Well, guess what? Randy's gay niece survives the movie. And I'm not saying it because they kill all the white. I'm not saying that. It's just like they was afraid to kill anybody, period, by the end of the movie. I don't know what happened. And
well, they had more people survive, and I think
than any of them.
You had 4 survivors technically in the first Scream.
You know what's something new?
And they have 4 new characters survive, and I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that.
I think they should more personally.
You have an opportunity to develop these characters. Whereas Scream 4, you had one movie, you had a clean slate, you had all these new characters, and they all fucking died.
I agree with you a little bit on that, but these characters here, there was nothing in them that said, you know what, I want to learn. It's like where Scream 4, I agree with you. Scream 4, these characters, I wanted to learn more about those characters because those characters were really great, and it's probably the best cast they've had since Scream 2. And that's one of the reasons why I didn't much care for it the first time I watched it, because all these characters were being slowly killed off, and by the time we got to the reveal, it was the characters I least liked. In this one, not a damn one of these characters have defining moments where you know what, I want to keep learning about that character. I want that character to survive. No, I wanted them all die. Every one of them.
Right? Yeah, me too.
Every single one of them.
Well, with the original ending of Scream 4, it makes sense that they all get killed.
Yeah, exactly. Though with the original ending with Scream 4 that they had planned.
Yeah, but what was I gonna say? Okay, so one minor thing that I noticed the second time watching, and I had to rewind the damn thing because I was like, wait a fucking minute. So they're at the house, right? And they're at the party at Stu's house. Remember that?
I love how you say it's still Stu's house. Always Stu's house.
Formally, it was Stu's house, but remember the part where I always forget Randy's niece's
Mindy
name.
and the guy, his name, I remember it because his name is Chad, and he's the nicest Chad you will ever meet.
Okay, so Mindy is talking to her brother and all that. Chad, whatever.
You said you watched it like a few hours ago.
Say his fucking name.
I don't give a fuck about these characters. I don't give a damn about most of their names. I don't fucking care.
Oh, I care.
I'm not invested with these characters, Justin. It's great that you care. I fucking don't.
Well, that's a you problem.
Most of them fucking suck. No,
most of them fucking suck.
No, that's a movie problem, Justin, not a me problem.
Well, I don't know. We could disagree. That's fine. Go ahead.
I liked all the characters in the original one, and I don't like them now. And I don't like them. I don't like the new characters in the latest movie, so I don't care. Yeah, the party for Wes, as Dan Blackroyd says. Yeah, that party. But when she's talking to her brother, you know how they're watching Stab 1. And it's the reenacting scene of them watching Halloween. No, okay, so
I have a nitpick, but go ahead.
No. So this is what I caught. Was it the brother Chad was like telling Mindy. This is how much I care about these characters. Mindy, like. The brother Chad mentions that why would you be watching your own uncle get killed off in this scene? That's not where he gets fucking killed off, you idiot! Oh my god, it's in the second movie, you dumb fucks. He doesn't get killed off in that scene. Did you catch that, Greg?
What was it now?
I think we all got that, but I think that was a generalization. Is that the second movie was leading up to his death, and he was like, "Look, I'm not interested in a movie series about our uncle getting killed. Eventually. Like, I don't want to see this."
No, but
I want to say something real quick.
No, but that's not how he dies.
I want to say something real quick because about the Party for West, but also I want to say goodnight to Brian Barth because Brian Barth is going to leave us. So goodnight, Brian Barth. Thank you for being here.
Good night, Brian.
And as far as like the Party for West, the one good thing about that is, if you guys don't know this, is that all the voices you hear when they say for West, that's Drew Barrymore. That's Matthew Lillard,
Skeet Ulrich, Jamie Kennedy.
Yeah, it's Jamie Kennedy. That's all the cast. Yeah, that's everybody. Because that was actually when they said that was actually for Wes Craven.
Too bad they didn't actually make this movie for Wes.
Yeah,
right.
That's what I'm saying. Too bad the movie isn't for Wes, and it's a bit cringy. But that best part was they got all them back to say for Wes.
I didn't notice.
And
that.
even the end of the movie,
cool.
just like they pulled a Ghostbusters Afterlife, like for Wes.
Yeah, but the thing was,
that's part of my problem, Justin, is that's where it's unearned, right? Like if this movie felt like it was made for the fans by the fans, I'd have a different reaction to it.
So and I agree with you in that kind of respect, Tom. It's just like Ghostbusters Afterlife. I felt like for Harold, like at the end of Ghostbusters Afterlife, I cried. I cried. It was great. It was so great.
I did too, but that's because they actually honored Harold Ramis
and they earned it.
Movie.
When they say for Wes in Scream 5, I just roll my eyes like that's not for Wes Craven at all.
Oh, you son of a!
I'll be honest. This should have been the shot that Kevin Williams should have got at directing.
Yeah, I would like to have seen that.
Yeah, but Justin, like in Ghostbusters Afterlife,
at least there's some legacy there. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and the entire movie was a love letter to Harold Ramis.
Yeah, and that's why it was earned, and it was done in a very respectful way. You watch this fucking piece of shit movie that is Scream 5 or whatever you want to call it, and it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like a love letter for Wes Craven.
I feel like this is the people versus Justin proper.
No, I want to say this because I know that's feel like we're ganging up on you and everything. But
no, it's okay. No, it's okay.
That's what I'm saying.
I wouldn't be so pissed if there wasn't parts of the film I do like, right?
Yeah, because there is actually parts in it that is enjoyable.
I'm not beating up on you. I think the movie's so milquetoast. I don't really have an opinion on it. So.
Well, look. Why don't we? I think I can level with you on some degree. Like, what was the part that you loved the most? Like because even when I remember Tom, when I was like ranting on how much the ending sucked on Halloween Kills, my opinion changed because I rewatched it and I was like, oh my god, it's not as bad as I thought.
Well, and I understand why people disliked Halloween Kills as well, right? Like,
but for me, it was like the last 10 minutes or so. And I was really hard on it. I was a dick about it, and I think
there was plenty of people who hate it, and I understand why they do. But I love it for all the reasons they hate it because it's all those things that those movies from the 70s and 80s were.
The ending was the least of that movie's problems, I think.
But Mike, I know you don't like it at all, really. So yeah,
I didn't care much for the movie as a whole. And like I said, the ending, I didn't ever have a problem with the ending of Halloween Kills. It was.
Yeah, I think the hospital scenes just like that was like a B plot and that kind of sucked, but other than that, it's just like it was like everything that the first that 2018 Halloween lacked. I left the theater unsatisfied. I was like, where are the kills and where are the tits?
Yeah.
And the only tits that we got was like, what was it, a flashback of I don't know. I
don't even think they showed her sister's tits in the flashback.
No, it wasn't her tits, or it wasn't Laurie Strode's friend.
Yeah, totally.
Totally.
Her name Linda?
Yeah, by the way, I met her and I forgot her name.
PJ Souls is it?
Yes, PJ Souls. Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't get no tits. That's what I miss in horror movies.
We
I
didn't
miss
get
tits in horror
archival
movies.
tits. What the fuck?
I agree with Greg.
I miss it. It's a relief mechanism for when you're watching a good scary movie to see some tits.
Make tits in
Just
horror
saying.
movies great again.
Yeah. But as far as like my favorite, what I liked about Scream 5, because you want to know, because what we're talking about.
I'm sorry, Mike, but it was funny.
Yeah, but
Make
I
tits
really dig
great again, Runner.
make tits
Wait,
great
what?
again.
Jesus. Fucking
My favorite
Pandora.
part, I will, is actually the opening. I really enjoy that opening scene. I think it brings back something that was lost by the time Scream 3 and 4 came out. The opening felt fresh and scary. I do wish they would have actually killed her, but it was something that I really, really enjoyed. And it did hook me into the movie thinking, okay, this movie I might really, really enjoy this movie. So I really dug that beginning, and it's honestly really about the only part I really liked. But
Honestly, I somewhat thought that was fine, but like I didn't care about it really as a whole. I would say like the best thing I can think about so far, only because this is like the one thing that had emotional weight, was when you see Dewey and Gale talk to each other.
Which
Yeah, that
sucks
was a
because
good
that's the
scene.
last time they fucking talk
Yeah.
before he gets
Well, no,
killed, and it's
well,
a
no, well-
goddamned argument.
Well, no, like this is the thing though. Like in that whole scene, it's like there's actually I got a little emotional. Like when I watched that, I was like, there's a little bit of emotional weight. Towards
Yeah, I
that.
get what you're saying, and that's why it pisses me off,
Yeah,
Runner.
because
That, but yeah,
Yeah.
because I actually, like, and
It-
it's probably because like you've seen how these characters develop and all that, but that's why it works.
that is the same scene we got in The Force Awakens between Harrison
Oh,
Ford
god damn it!
and
You're right.
fucking Carrie
It is.
goddamn
It
Fisher.
It is.
It is.
Oh,
It's
God.
the last time they talk, and he dies right after. God damn it!
Exactly, and they have an argument.
And they have a fucking argument,
Yep.
and it pisses me off. It's one of the reasons I hated Thor. It's like that's the last bit you're gonna give them. You're gonna leave them on a fucking joke like that. Not only that, a bad joke.
Exactly.
Give me a fucking break. That is one of the. Now I'm gonna rant about the death of Dewey. That is the death of this film in the heart of it all, right there. Because if there's any character who deserves to stay with this franchise from here on out, it's Dewey, who's had more experience than anybody else, who's the only one who has a fucking reason to be involved. Nobody else deserves to be there. Courtney Cox, she was the one who deserved to die.
Yes,
End of discussion on that matter. There's no fucking way that little, not even fucking weighing 100 pounds wet chick killed Dewey. No fucking way. The way that happened, I am so pissed. That is just as bad, and it is a callback to Harrison Ford getting killed. It is the same fucking scene for fucking Batum. And guess what? He died for nothing because the other one was the fucking killer.
Exactly. And it's just fucking stupid. Why would he go back after everything he's been through? And he just like stands out of the body, literally waits for the to get up and stab him.
I apologize to people's ears.
No. You know what, Tom? When I saw this movie for the first time, that's exactly how I felt. However, no, I'm kidding. I'm that is the one thing. That is the one part of this movie that I swear just
it is fucking. Oh my god, go ahead.
That's what did it for me.
No, because after Scream 2, while I was pissed off that like childhood me was dead. At least I had Dewey. For me personally, like I as I got older, I identified with Dewey because at least in Scream 4, they got little things correct because you had the same people involved. Like Dewey is smart. He memorizes pages in the books that his friends make about their lives. Like,
he has become a great detective because of the shit that he has been through.
Exactly.
yes, like
you.
Scream 2, he says, page 34, Deputy Dewey oozes with inexperience. You know, like,
And I
he
love his bit where he's like, "How do you know that is my boyish charm is just a way to manipulate
Make
those
people think I'm dumb." Yeah, sorry.
I can't even say it as good as he does,
I
but
know,
like
he
the
just
whole
does it so
speech is
great.
great.
Excuse me, I have some oozing.
To-
To do.
yeah,
Excuse me, I have some oozing to
manipulate
do.
people to subvert their expectations or something
Exactly.
like that.
Therefore, being able to manipulate the situation and yeah, I can't even.
And he's old, grumpy hobbit or hobo now or whatever, like Luke Skywalker was, and he didn't give a shit. Ugh.
No,
Because there's my favorite part is when Dewey showed up because you knew he was gonna, and it's just like that scene in every movie where you go to ask the old sheriff, Harv, Critters 2, whatever you want to throw in there. We need you, Harv. This town voted me out. This town can kiss my ass. And that's the way that he should have been. And then as soon as Gail showed up or what have you, then he has a reason to come out and show up, right? Like that's a reason for her to be there. You know, killing Gail would have been good enough to bring back Nev Campbell, whatever. I felt she was fine being like, okay, I'm good where I'm at. I got a gun. We're good. We're staying here. Goodbye. Because it had nothing to fucking do with her. Nothing to do with her.
And it was kind of funny, that interaction, just like, they told me to come out here, but 90% of it was because of you. Well, 90% of me feels better, you fucking bitch, because it seems like oh yeah, Dewey's a bad partner because he left in the middle of the night. He just left them. He left this relationship. And
that's the other thing. He left her.
He's left. When you could
What
clearly
the
see that
fuck?
Gail would be the one to leave him.
Yeah, he's obsessed with her, yet he left her.
No, look.
I think the next logical thing would have been that
honest
Gail
here.
divorced him and he got with Deputy Hicks.
It is very fucking difficult to live with Gail. And at some point,
Dewey is the one guy who could put up with her shit, though. That's the thing.
Yeah,
because he's the only guy who loved Gail Weathers as much as Gail Weathers loved Gail Weathers. That's my
Even in part 3, when they're at that table and he's like, we tried to make us. He's like,
you're right, but I got it. I understood why. Because at some point, it just doesn't work out, and I understand that. And
the parallels are there, and I sent you the article you asked for, Justin, and I'm not asking you to change your mind, because there is some things in this, and yes, that I did enjoy, like the opening, like Greg. I liked the freshness. The victim survived. Whoa. Like, does that mean the victim is one of the killers? Well, would they set something like that up, or what's going on here?
I hope to God that Jenna Ortega pulls out a fucking knife and kills her sister, and then that's it. And then that's it. And then she gets a fucking way with it again. That's my thing. That's my thing that pisses me off. It's like Scream 5, you had an opportunity to change the fucking game and you did the same thing over again.
That's they're too busy trying to be part 1 or say they're better than part 1.
Right.
Yeah, well, that's
them misinterpreting what the fans want, right?
Exactly.
No,
their interpretations of what we're saying is that we just want something like the first one. No, we care about continuity, and we give a shit about how the characters are treated and the continuity of these characters. And it's said, and here's how we get to Deputy Judy, who's now Sheriff Judy, and not even the same motherfucking character she was in the first movie.
What is she?
Who is this person? Who is she? And she's a fucking grumpy bitch. That ain't Judy.
And an overprotective mom. And there's no mention of any child in part 4, period, because she would have to have a 5-year-old kid.
Right.
And she's an overprotective mom in this one who's worried about her son and up her son's ass at every moment.
There's that too. Thank you.
No. I will defend this creative decision because, first off, look, in the 4th film, there's no reason for Judy to mention her son. There is no reason.
I agree with Greg as a parent. I agree with Greg as a parent, especially if they're setting up the idea that she's a single mom. because we never see a dad in this equation. And if she's running after Dewey, why the fuck would she be running after Dewey if she's got a daddy at home already for the baby?
Exactly.
At no point does she say anything about having a child.
So what?
Yeah, with Justin on this one, it's inconsequential in Scream 4.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It's like how
But the problem is it totally changes who her character is.
I could totally see like one line in part 4 saying, "Hey, can you get my son and kid him out of town until this is over? Boom, done. That's it."
But that doesn't change what happens. And like it's
he was a little kid.
It doesn't matter.
But still.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't break canon. I don't look.
I just think it's a bad character change because I went from actually really liking her in part 4 to like I don't even like this character. It's not even the same.
Yeah, something really didn't feel right about
it.
Her.
She didn't feel like the same character, the same actress.
Feel like the same exact character, but I will say that the fact that the argument that she didn't mention that she had a son in the 4th movie.
That's the least of it for me. It's just really the change of the character.
I disagree with that particular argument. That's it.
I could say, okay, she doesn't need to mention her son in part 4. Fine, that's great, but it's still not even the same character. It's like a completely all around change that I just did not get on board with. Because like I said, if anything was to happen, like I could see Gale Weathers leaving Dewey, trying to become a reporter again. Just she's fed up with it, whatever. She's tired of him, and then I could maybe see Dewey running to Deputy Hicks and maybe getting into that with some way. But like it's just I wouldn't.
Yeah, and that would have created a bit of a love triangle for this movie because if Gale would have showed up, that definitely would have.
Yeah, I think that would have
got Dewey all like whatever, and like and they did break up in real life between the films, or they got back together and then they broke up again. But yeah, it's like in that respect, that's the other reason why I feel like it's like one of them had to die and they choose the white male because one of them's not going to come back for the next movie because I got divorced a year after the last one or whatever it was.
Yeah. Oh, I imagine. Well, that was very awkward.
That's my point. So they knew one of them was going to have to go in this movie. And the one who has the least to fucking do is Gale goddamn mother Weathers.
It's considering that David Arquette is a horror fan, and he said he would play the role. He's on record saying he would play the role of Dewey as many times as he possibly can. I know I said it, but he said he would continue. He would play Dewey till the day he dies. He said that, and yet he's the one to go. He's the one they get rid of. He's the one they deconstruct. He's the one.
And you know what's funny is that I will agree with you guys because David even said like in a screening post screening really interview with Kevin Williamson and one of the people of what the fuck is the company called? I don't
Paramount?
No, not Paramount, but
Miramax Dimension.
No, because Miramax and Dimension are not involved
don't exist anymore.
Pretty much don't exist
anymore.
Yeah.
One of the fucking directors. I don't know.
Oh, one of the two directors. Yeah.
Yeah, I forget what the company is called. It slips my mind.
Scott, was it Skyglass?
I don't
or whatever
know.
The fuck it's called.
It's not called Skyglass, you fucking
Skynet.
No, that's
you lost me too, man.
I forgot what it's called.
Yeah, but
the other company.
Anyways, there was a post-screening interview where he said I disagreed with the decisions that were made with my character, especially.
Boy, that sounds an awful lot like Mark Hamill, doesn't it?
Yeah, I was about to say.
I know it did. I know it did. And he's like, thankfully, a lot of it got written out or cut out. Because
you know what? I'd be looking forward to Scream 6 if they had set this up. Gale Weathers is dead. Nev Campbell has no reason to come back. You're setting it in the city. Fuck yeah! That's the only reason you need to bring back is David Arquette. That's it. Because he comes involved because it's a goddamn Scream killing and he's the fucking authority on it.
Expert, right. Yeah.
Like that makes sense to continue the series if you're going to do it that way.
It also didn't necessarily not make sense because eventually, when you have 5 or so different fake out deaths, it's gonna catch up to you eventually.
Well, then you
Yeah,
just
which
don't
is
fake
another
out his
reason
death
not to
again like
kill
they
him.
didn't in 4, right? Like he didn't have the fake out death in 4 for a reason. Good reason.
Yeah, it was time to stop that on him. It was
Exactly.
time to-
He's smart enough now.
yeah, and I'm
Well,
afraid.
I mean, the closest he came was like he got knocked out by Jill with a pan.
Yeah, that's all she did was just
The
knock him
only
out.
Yeah, but
reason
that
that
was-
he found out about it was because.
And I still say that
of-
ending could have been set up better anyway, but we learn now. That,
Yeah, but I'm just like, I'm looking at the character from the character's perspective, and like his naivety, and his, I don't blame the writers and filmmakers
I
for
do.
making for making the decision to finally have like, all right, you've been stupid all this time. You literally like had a comedic fake out in Scream 3. It's about time it comes back to bite you in the ass.
It's so stupid. He just literally stands over the killer and waits for him to stand up to stab him.
Kind of
He
like Han
does
Solo.
literally
No,
nothing.
he doesn't. He gets distracted because he
Don't
he's that
fucking
kind of
distracted. He's going to walk back and hear a phone ring and just
The
stand
phone
there.
ring.
Greg, I'm gonna talk about this with Justin because Justin does not fucking understand.
No, I understand.
No, shut up. Dewey,
Go for it.
Okay, when Dewey's popping caps or whatever, popping bullets at the fucking Ghostface guy, he literally shoots him in the chest, and as he takes them to the elevator, he says, "Oh, you need to shoot him in the head." Motherfucker, why didn't you shoot him in the head beforehand?
That's what I said as they got in the
Exactly.
goddamn elevator. And
why
that
didn't
would have
you
made
just
the
go
movie
with the
different is you get one of the killers midway through the movie, right?
That
Like
would
that
have
would
been
have
interesting.
Like and plus he like waits there, just shoot it, shoot the person immediately, and he dies because of a goddamn phone ring.
Exactly. And you
It's the
got to
dumbest shit
shoot him
ever.
in the head. And so instead of going and walking up and just popping him
It's-
real quick, right in the
Han-
head, he
Han
just
Solo-
stands there.
Han Solo Death 2.0. There you go. I fucking hated that scene so much.
I'm not going to disagree with your assessment. However,
Oh no.
Yes, and
no.
Dan Blackroyd is right. I noticed that too. And I'm glad they did.
I was thinking that she married Patrick Dempsey's character. Yeah.
Because if anything, like, I was
Yeah.
kind of like, too bad they didn't get him back. But of course, people, which is kind of stupid because people
I
forget
think
Patrick
he has
Dempsey's
a better standard.
Patrick Dempsey's career was saved by Scream 3. People forget that.
Yeah.
He was
it led to
making
Grey's
B
Anatomy.
movies and fucking TV movies and shit at that point. He had a couple big hits in the late 80s, early 90s, and then he became another one of those pretty boys. He was in Scream 3. The movie did pretty well in the box office. Next thing you know, he's in a couple more things and he gets Grey's Anatomy, and then he's Patrick fucking Dempsey all of a sudden.
Yep.
It's like, I remember when that dude couldn't get a fucking job washing cars. Like,
It's true.
he was like a joke at one point, practically. Like, yeah. But no, he's great in the third film. And not only that, that's one thing we totally missed and passed over in the third film. Did anybody else notice who is Patrick Dempsey's partner?
Oh yeah, that guy. I can't.
That
It's
guy.
Josh Paez, but
Yeah.
if you
Go
don't
ahead.
recognize his face from a lot of the TV shows and stuff he does, you should recognize his voice. You
Mhm.
damn well should, I should say.
Yeah.
Oh, how so?
Well, he played in fact, he influenced this character's voice from then on out, I should say, after his portrayal of this character. A character very close and dear to my heart. You know that. This movie came out in 1990.
I
It
know
was
what
fresh
it is,
from
but
the sewers.
It's the Ninja. I know it's Ninja Turtles.
Yes, he played Raphael.
Yeah, Raphael.
Josh Paez played Raphael. He's the
Mhm.
partner, this wisecrack. And it's another one that I think Carrie Fisher wrote all those lines for.
It's funny because I was watching that. I know we've moved on to the fifth one here.
Why
but
do
I
you
was-
think there's any connection between this movie and the killer?
Yeah,
He was stabbed. He was
exactly.
going to be in a movie called Stab.
There's even one part with the part where like they try
Oh,
to throw you
man.
off to make you think Patrick Dempsey's the killer is when she's in the his office and he's gone. You hear his voice. He said, "Where the hell is my goddamn partner at? Where's he been all day?" And you go, "Like Raphael's talking."
Yeah. And I love his character too, because he's just kind of a side character, but yeah.
That is so true. But to go back to Scream 5, like I feel like we may see a very and this is something that I really think is potential, more potential with Scream than it is with Halloween, but I think it kind of rings true. Scream, had their Force Awakens with Scream 5, and literally, and then
they did.
And this one being The Last Jedi, this next one, because there's no Sidney Prescott at all, because they fucking refuse to give Neve Campbell her salary, or give her a decent pay. Fuck.
This is how I know these are hack filmmakers, because not only did they mess up Dewey, they killed Dewey, and they lose Neve Campbell, who has had contract disputes in the past, but has always come back. So that's how I know these are hack filmmakers.
Yeah.
But anyways, go on.
I don't know if they're hack filmmakers, because
they're hack filmmakers for this goddamn franchise. That's what he's referring to.
Well, I don't know if the dispute is necessarily between, with the studio, or if it is,
but you can't tell me if like Wes Craven was alive and he was directing, or Kevin Williamson was directing, they would have done something to help get her back. These two guys aren't going to fight for her.
No, they're not. Like Justin, this isn't like with Scream 5 and the directors and all that. I don't think this is a Spider-Man 3 issue with Sam Raimi and all that. Like, that's different. I think the directors and the writers wanted this shit to happen.
Well, Neve Campbell has notoriously done this for every Scream movie since the second one, because she only had a contract for the first two. So she held out for the third one. She got a hell of a payday for the third one. I'm sure she got a big part of the budget. That's why the balloon budget for part 4. And I'm sure she got a pretty nice payday for this one too. Do I blame her for wanting to go for the gusto? No. Because let's be real, at this point, she's practically all the franchise has left.
Especially after you kill off your Han Solo.
Yeah, and at the same time, though, I don't see any reason for her character to be there anymore. She has no real attachment to this anymore, so I don't think that's going to be a problem overall. And if anything, it's going to force these writers and directors to have to come up with a good story without the help of two good characters now.
Yeah,
I don't have
a problem with any of the legacy characters coming back to the next one. And they felt completely out of place in the last movie, in Scream 5.
They did.
And that's what I agree with. Outside of Dewey, there's none of them that have a real reason to be involved. Right? Like,
I'm shocked that Courtney Cox is coming back.
Yeah. And I never would have imagined that Courtney Cox was going to be the only one to be in all of them. That never crossed my mind.
All of them so far.
Now, do you think, because Tom, we've talked about this, that we might get like a Halloween Resurrection type thing? Do you think maybe if they get Neve Campbell back, they kill her off in the beginning, or do they kill Courtney Cox off in the beginning of the film?
I was going to talk about that.
At this point, what else do you do for that intro but kill off Courtney Cox?
Yeah.
And not
if
only
they
that,
if they do, I am walking out of the theater.
It would not surprise me if they pull a Halloween Resurrection and they kill Courtney Cox.
Well, they're bringing back Kirby.
I don't get this. I don't understand this. I get it if like she actually had it and they had her survive, but she doesn't fucking survive. She is dead.
No.
She's laying in a puddle of motherfucking blood bigger than she is.
It's
that
not,
poor girl, and I love that character. That hurt me when she that's right.
She survives, and I'm
where they don't show us
in the movie.
It's all based on its Twitch.
They don't show her after that.
It's all based on the fact that somebody saw her twitch when she fell, and then Wes Craven said, "Yeah, she's alive."
Yeah, because I rewatched 4 and I didn't see any indication that like she lived 100%.
Exactly.
So I agree with Tom. Like I get it. Wes Craven says that she's alive, but like when you watch the movie without hearing Wes Craven say that, it's like you think she's dead.
Exactly.
That's
So-
what the
Even if they
movie
could have just
wants
had
you to
Kirby,
believe.
they could have said that Kirby was in a coma or whatever, but
Maybe she could have been. I
they
don't
didn't
know.
say that though.
Yeah, yeah.
And this is less inconsequential than the kid thing. I
This
will
is because they
concede on the
needed some
kid
things
thing.
for people to come in. Like, how do we get? We're losing
Yeah.
Nev Campbell. What do we do? What do we do?
And they
What if
know
we
she
bring
was
back
a fan
Dana Terry?
favorite. Exactly. Because everybody loved
No,
her
she
when
was
the movie came
involved-
out.
She was involved, when they thought that Sydney would be involved in Nev Campbell.
I don't know
So
about
you're
that.
wrong about that.
I don't
It
know
just-
about that. I remember her being announced after Nev Campbell had
Yeah,
already
she announced after Nev Campbell
poo-pooed
had.
the whole thing.
I don't know about that.
But I
I'd
feel
have
like
to
we're
go look
getting
at
a
the
Halloween
timeline.
resurrection with Scream 6. They're either going to kill off Courtney Cox or they're going to bring back Nev Campbell and kill her off in the beginning, which I doubt they'll bring back Nev Campbell.
No,
The only
if
way
they-
this
if they
movie is
kill
good
off
is an
Courtney-
accident.
Yeah.
No, if they kill off Courtney Cox, I'm walking out.
I'd rather
Kill the
I'd ra-
past. What's that? To kill the past. Sounds
Um,
familiar.
Yeah.
eh.
Kill the past.
Also, if
I don't know.
if you kill off the nicest Chad ever in the history of humanity, second to the Chad that I know, he's very nice. But if you kill off the one guy that lives, like, yeah, okay, there's an anti-man thing going on here.
Honestly, I
yeah.
really don't care if they kill off the new
I
characters.
personally
I
don't
do,
care.
I do,
I have
I
no
do.
interest in any of those surviving characters.
Why?
Not one of them.
Because
Why? They-
I
they
feel
have-
like even
they
though
have-
he didn't have a lot of character development, he has a
they
lot
have-
of potential.
Almost all of them have the weakest character development in the franchise.
I think he has good potential. I don't know.
It just felt to me like we think these people are beautiful people. We'll just put them in there and whatever. That's what it felt like.
No, I thought it was amazing. Like, this guy turned down sex with a beautiful woman because he's like, I don't know if you're the killer. Like, I love that. I
mean, in a way he was smart for doing that, but I just
also
again,
dumb
don't
from
care.
turning down sex with a beautiful woman who turned out to not be the killer. But he was also smart to just be like, look, let's just be safe here, please.
Let's also be honest here. This was the easiest one to guess. As soon as they showed her friend in the phone, you knew she was the killer.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you got into it, you knew Jack Quaid
Amber,
was the
you knew
killer.
Amber had to be one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that
I
was a
suspected
giveaway. And then
Richie at the beginning because
the boyfriend was another dead giveaway at certain points too. It's just like
Jack Quaid was great as that character. Like, I don't think any of us are disputing.
He's a good actor.
that's the problem. You have some great actors in a bad fucking movie.
He's a good actor, but I just didn't care for him in it.
I think he did the best that he could with the material
see,
that he was
He
given.
really could. The thing is, he really could have been an intimidating killer, a la Stu, Billy, Roman, and Mickey, but he just comes off as like pointless. He doesn't. I mean,
he gives off incel vibes, even though like he doesn't need that.
It's just
but I agree with Tom 100%. The worst fucking character in this movie is fucking Sam. Worst fucking character.
Yeah.
The actress sucks. The character is a bad idea to begin with.
Yes. And
I mean, there's enough other familial connections that you don't have to give Billy an illegitimate child.
Exactly.
And not only that,
No,
give
like
her
the
this
idea.
whole thing. Here's the other thing that's stupid about it. Give her this thing with fucking visions and another character who has no idea or who shouldn't have any idea that she has visions of her fucking dead father that she never met in her entire fucking life. Knows about it.
Exactly.
Somehow. Magically.
It's
That was
just-
like,
He
you fucking.
doesn't magically. Jenna Ortega doesn't magically know about it.
No, her fucking boyfriend brings it up. He literally brings up the fact that she has visions of her fucking father. She tells nobody about that.
Nobody.
So it's either in a cut scene or they are that fucking dumb that they set that whole thing. Like, it is so fucking convoluted.
He sees Billy too.
Oh my God. It is just so fucking. And then to make him like this, like, character, like, who do you think he is? Norman fucking Bates? No, motherfucker's insane. Like, yeah, Norman Bates is a psycho, but Norman himself isn't doing the killing. Right?
Exactly. It's his mom inside.
It's his mom, right? So like they're treating him like he's a misunderstood murderer. It's like, no, he's Billy fucking Loomis. He's a goddamn psycho.
Now he's a hero.
Like, what the fuck? He's no hero. What the hell is this shit? Like, they're trying to make him out like some emo. Like, I'm sorry, but like, who fucking thought this was a good idea? This is not even something that should make it past the fucking first stage of writing. It shouldn't even make it past the idea stage.
The de-aging was fucking awful too.
Oh
yeah, because he looks like he's a 40-year-old man with Billy like trying to pretend who he was when he was a 20-year-old man.
like just use fucking makeup.
Look, I liked it when he first appeared. I was like, oh my God, like
that. No,
I will.
You know what would have been better? You know what would have been better? The illegitimate child of Stu Macher.
Yes,
him being upset.
Stu was a player,
and we knew that he was upset that his father never got the fame that he deserved.
Exactly, because that's
it's all about Billy fucking Loomis.
Exactly.
No.
I think that would have made more sense.
I think that would.
I actually think it makes perfect sense that there is an illegitimate daughter of Billy Loomis.
Because Billy Loomis did all this shit because his girlfriend wouldn't fucking sleep with him,
and so he slept with other women.
Maybe. But
and then probably got somebody pregnant, and then when they found out that he was a serial killer,
the only thing I will give you,
like a bad
the only thing I will give you, okay, look, you could have still done it with I'll give you this, you could have still done it with an illegitimate daughter of Billy Loomis, because yeah, he's a smooth enough motherfucker that he probably would have creeped his way into plenty of panties. I'm not going to disagree with you there, Justin.
Yeah, right. even the video.
But the way they set her up and the way she is in this movie, the whole thing is just so convoluted and stupid. That if you're going to have a character like that, you have to have them be the killer. Like, that's the only way it makes fucking sense. This whole thing with having her be this, not realizing it feels like too much shit we've seen in too many fucking movies already.
And she's got special powers now because she has the psychotic side of Billy that she can use for good.
That she can tap into whenever she needs to.
That she can tap into to stab the fuck out of people.
Yeah, and it looked like Skeet Ulrich had fucking plastic surgery.
No, Skeet Ulrich. I met him. He has had no plastic surgery. He
just put on some muscle, and he usually has a beard.
No way you can afford it.
He looks pretty normal. He's a very normal looking guy.
Yeah, I didn't say he got plastic surgery.
He means from the CGI shit. Yeah.
Okay,
in the movie, it looked like he had plastic surgery.
Well, this is another poor choice of them deciding to do some de-aging technology instead of just using fucking deep fake.
Yeah, true.
Right.
True.
Or makeup for that matter.
No,
well, he's not Kurt Russell. So
yeah, he's not Kurt Russell in this sense. Like, I've seen what he looks like, and you're right, he doesn't look like he's had any work done. They didn't
need to do any of that. I mean, he's a figment of her imagination anyway. He could
exactly
older. I mean,
honestly, you're right. Like, they could have had him, because they do have him like with the blood on his shirt and all that shit. They could have had him even like decaying and shit.
I'm
like,
just kind of
and other things. Like, you could have done shit.
Didn't have a bullet hole in his forehead. Why is that?
That's what I'm saying. You could have done a much different time.
You could have did
he shouldn't fucking be there, period.
Yeah, at all.
Like, that's the thing. At all. This breaks the fourth wall. Right? We barely cross that line, and that's why we're debating.
What are you talking about?
It does, in a sense of, okay, it doesn't break the fourth wall, but it breaks the rules of verisimilitude in a sense that we have had, at least with Sydney, it was a dream sequence and it was manipulation by her brother. Because as I pointed out, I paid attention this time to make sure, because I wanted to compare it to this. The only time she sees her mother is in that fucking dream sequence. The rest of the time, it's the voice box.
Yeah, but what the fucking voice.
This time you have a character who is literally fucking seeing somebody she's never goddamn met.
Ever.
Sure.
And
Yeah,
barely
I
even
never
has
understood that.
it has no fucking sense or reason to be there. And the way they manipulate the character, they basically turn him into this anti-fucking hero by guiding his daughter to saving. And it was like, are you fucking kidding
magic
me?
powers. That's just.
But see,
It's horrible.
Don't you see how this could okay, this led you to good at first, but where can this lead you?
She's not going to end up being a killer. Like you said, if anything, it would be her sister.
She's going to be the new
third
fucking
one.
Sydney.
Yeah, she's the
And
new
what's sad
Sydney.
is her sister, Jenna Ortega, is the best actress in the fucking movie aside
Exactly.
from what's his
Oh, I know.
face.
Jack
And, like,
Quaid?
Yeah, Jack Quaid. Yeah, as far as the new cast goes. Yeah, because the rest of them are completely forgettable.
Mhm.
Because that's the other thing is I noticed this time
had
around
no
too.
room for character development. Which
None. Well,
really
none.
pissed
And the
Because-
thing
me
is,
off.
this is the longest Scream. What do you mean no room for character development? This is over 2 hours long. It's the longest Scream movie.
It is. He's got a point.
I know, and that's
Why
I'm
is
on
that?
your
Because
side.
we have too much time meandering with the classic characters doing nothing.
Exactly.
And the first
Except
half of
for
the movie
Dewey,
is all
except
that.
for Dewey,
Who ends up getting killed. And then from that moment on, you got
I'm-
Gail just waiting around to kill his killer. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't add anything to it. The killers are in the driver's seat, literally in that third act. The
What
whole
do you mean she
fucking
doesn't add anything to it?
name one thing that Gail Weathers did to this movie. Did in any of this movie that changed anything?
Slapping that bitch across the face. Great. Punching her. I mean, I don't know. That was satisfying. That was deserving. I want. I don't know. I don't know.
And
Like,
here's
it's
exactly what Nev Campbell added to the movie.
Yep.
Yep.
Because everything that they
I
did
agree
could have been
with
done by
you
other
with-
characters that does not equate to them having to be there.
You know what pissed me off is that the marketing had all 5 shots of all of them in the movie. And then it just they never. It just really pissed me the fuck off.
And
It
I'm not
pissed me
trying to
the-
change your mind, Justin. And I'm not even like
No, you're
Mike-
not. You're not.
Mike
because,
doesn't even really give a shit.
Yeah,
you know,
Mike
like,
did.
I just, yeah.
He's just eating popcorn right now.
yeah, he's just watching us argue.
But I mean, this is a franchise that had the honestly, I think it should have just ended with 4.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that is because you
And
have
some
your
people
trilogy
said back
and
in
you
the,
have your remake.
Yeah,
There you
and
go.
back in the day, they used to say, "Oh, it should have ended with 3," but then 4.
No,
now
I
only in retrospect. Only in retrospect.
no, I actually liked 4 when it came out, and I got
So
it
did
then.
I,
But
a lot of people.
but even
didn't.
now, I like it more because it is more relevant. But looking at it now, and the best part is they put the 4 in the title. I thought that was dumb at the time, but looking at it now, it makes so much more sense. That movie is everything this movie is trying to fucking accomplish and fails on every goddamn level.
And then
Every
they
level.
didn't even use they called it Scream instead of 5
Yeah,
Which
they
is
did-
pretentious as motherfuck.
We're
I'm
just
sorry.
gonna
It
call our
is
movie
dumb.
Scream.
And they're gonna call this
Well, that's the
one
current
what?
trend, though, is just calling it
Scream
the original.
double exclamation point. Bullshit.
Yeah,
no,
I know, Mike.
no.
Yeah, Mike.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's bad. But we've been going for 3 hours and 22 minutes, and I know we could probably keep going. Let's give some final words on all this all together, which I think we've pretty much gave our final words. But final words real quick, and then we'll close it down. For anybody who's got anything to want to say about any of this.
Do you want to rank them?
Yeah.
If you want to, go ahead, rank them. Yeah. Who wants to start? Runner, go ahead. You go ahead, Runner.
All right,
You start.
Okay. From best to worst, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. There you go. That's
I'm
my
going with
ranking.
Runner pretty much. I'm the same.
Me too.
And the only real close tie is 3 and 4 are pretty level. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
I'm going to
and
go
I-
1,
and
2,
I-
4, 3, 5.
Yeah,
There you
see, I
go.
can
There you
understand
I,
that.
I like 4 a little bit better.
Yeah,
I
one,
can
see
that on it.
2,
I can kinda see
4, 5, 3.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Oh, start over again.
No, I'll let him have it. It's his thing.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
No,
I'm just disappointed.
I didn't hear him.
I'm not mad. I'm just
It's
disappointed.
disappointed.
Yeah, yeah. I
I'll watch the
understand.
replay. Damn
Another
it.
one of my children running away, doing the wrong things, learning the wrong
I'm
lessons.
not your kid. And
No,
by
No,
the
but
way,
you're
by the
like
way,
my
let's not
kid, and you know
let,
this.
let's not forget. Let's not forget. You compared my words to Gene Siskel.
Yes,
Did you
but
not?
and that's why you are like one of my surrogate children. Plus, I chased you around Vegas when you were drunk.
Okay, that's very true. because
You
both of-
and there's a couple of y'all, the youngins, Runner's one of them too. So he's your brother now. Just deal with it. You know.
yes,
and we-
yes, but
we
you
did meet
also
each other
compared my
recently.
words to Gene Siskel, and I will never forget
I
that.
never said you're an unintelligent child.
Good. Another monster in the chat says Ohio sucks.
Oh no, and he spells it wrong.
I know. I've seen that.
Always
And there's
spell-
still,
Is he aware that there's 3 Ohio?
I was about to
people
say
in
there's
this?
legitimately 3 of us are from Ohio.
Wait, are you from Ohio?
Me? Yeah. I'm in Ohio
Wow.
right now.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, is that you making the noise next door?
He probably lives. He probably lives closer to Horror Hound than any.
I do.
any
I'm
of
like an
us.
hour
And he never goes.
away.
Lucky.
And I never get to go. I
I'm like,
legitimately
I'm
never get to
30
go.
minutes away. Like,
I know how
dude,
that
we
feels,
can
though.
hang out right the fuck right now.
Yeah. I can legitimately never get to go Horror Hound. I have so much shit I gotta do and I never get to do jack shit.
No, and I told Greg, like, when I'm at Cincinnati, at what was it, September? Is that
Yeah,
when?
Runner.
yeah.
Runner
Yeah.
even made it to Horror Hound.
There was no way I could
Oh
make
my
it.
God,
Legitimately,
dude.
there was no way
It
I
was a-
could.
Mike, I didn't know that you were from Ohio.
Yeah, I'm in the Dayton area.
Mike was the first person I found at the
Yeah.
convention.
Yeah,
Wait, Mike, I was meeting up with Runner and you didn't.
yeah.
like,
I was only there for like 4 or 5 hours. I wasn't there for very long. I was there.
We weren't.
I was
dude,
by
we
weekend
can actually
pass.
hang out right now, and
Oh,
so
yeah.
can
Oh, yeah.
FanZcene, and then we have to poor Runner had to, like drive all the way down by
I had to wake up at-
basically
I had to wake up-
by himself saying, and he said, I refuse to listen to music because it will distract me from driving.
Yeah, I pretty much got my.
Did
I got the
I
3. I got
said
the
that?
3. I got the 3 autographs.
You
I
said
planned on
that.
getting.
I never said
world
that.
class. The world
No,
class.
you
guys
said
weren't
like I'm
there.
not going to listen to stand-up comedy because I'm distracted from driving.
What?
You said that. But anyways,
don't
Mike, what
remember
were you
saying
saying?
that.
Well, yeah, it's like I was only there for. Let's see. I left at like 1 to go get lunch. Came back and then pretty much immediately left again, and I didn't come back because I got the 3 autographs I wanted early Saturday morning.
Which one?
I got Ron Perlman, Doug Jones on my Hellboy 1 sheet, and
Ron Perlman was there?
yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, he was.
I
And,
loved him from Animaniacs.
and I got Carrie Henn's autograph on my Aliens soundtrack album.
And I was there because I wanted to meet Bruce Campbell, but he canceled, which sucked.
Oh yeah, that was the whole point of the whole fucking shit.
Yeah.
And then
Well,
the big
Yeah.
law.
it wasn't. But I was still gonna go because Angelus was gonna be there, and I talked to you because I thought you were gonna be there, and then
Nice.
you were. Yeah, that's cool.
Well, I thought Jeff was gonna have a panel there, and he didn't, and he wasn't there. So
I met the Ash versus Evil Dead cast instead. They were fucking cool.
well, guess what?
What?
I met the cast of Scream, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Was it a
That-
Scream, baby?
Oh
gonna be a
yes, it was.
Scream.
It was me and Angelus and Skeet Ulrich, Matthew Lillard, Nev Campbell, and Jamie Kennedy.
Man,
We-
dude, I was
we met
jealous
them-
as fuck when I saw that. I was
We
like,
met
damn
them-
it, I wanted to be there.
We met
you
them
there
at
too,
the.
Mike?
I go to every Horror Hound.
Fuck, we probably met. I don't know. Have we?
Oh, we've met. We've met before in person.
Oh,
The
we have.
Indianapolis. Yeah, the Indianapolis at the the Indianapolis show. We met the cast at Scream at a pizza restaurant at Giordano's in Indianapolis.
Oh, that's awesome.
The entire cast was having dinner there, and they were seated like right near us.
See, if there's a horror hound coming up in Indianapolis anytime soon, I'd probably go there.
Next I think it's in August of next year. They're having it earlier than usual.
Okay.
But the next one's in Cincinnati, and then after that it's Indianapolis.
Okay.
Because there's
I may or if I ever go to Horror Hound again, like I may or may not go to Cincinnati again, at least with the car I'm driving, because I had problems getting back home.
Because the one in Indianapolis, I'll actually have a room there and stay there the whole weekend.
Yeah,
I always get a weekend pass, but the last couple ones in Cincinnati, I've just gone down on Saturday and come back.
Well, I have family members who live in Indiana, so I've been to Indiana a lot. So
no, dude, you really should have come to Cincinnati, the Cincinnati Comic Expo. Apparently, I was in the same line as Anna
I
had a
weekend
and Cecil, and I didn't even know it.
I had a weekend pass. I had a weekend pass for Cincinnati Comic Expo, but a family thing came up and I couldn't go because I wanted to. I've never gotten William Shatner's autograph. I wanted to get that, and he's going to be in Columbus in December. So,
well,
cool.
well, I don't want to be that guy, but I met Christopher Lloyd, which everyone knows.
Yeah,
I saw that. That was cool.
Richard Dreyfuss.
Oh, that's awesome.
Cool.
And Bonnie Wright, who played Ginny Weasley, and she was in a good mood, even though she was about to have lunch. I was like, "Hey, thank you for doing that." And, it's just nice. And she was like, "Hey, you're kind of cute." Even though no, I'm kidding. She'd never said that. But I also met William Shatner, and I had I'm not a Star Trek fan. I don't care about that whole thing. And the guy who, oh no, if I say this on here, it's going to be on the internet forever, but fuck it. The guy who was in charge of it, hey, it costs this amount of money to do it. It was like $120 to get his autograph. And I had a weird amount of change, and he said, "Oh, I'll give you 220s or something," and he gave me my $100 bill back and another 20 on top of it.
Yeah, well.
So it only actually, because I only had 150, so it really only cost me $30.
Oh, there you go.
So
it used to be that's how much the autographs were.
Yeah.
Well, I got
autograph
that.
prices have skyrocketed in the last decade.
I got that, and I got the autograph for my uncle, and I had William Shatner. I said like, hey, my uncle is name is Bill, so can you make it out to Bill? And whenever I said Bill, I thought he thought for some reason that I was saying his name, not my uncle's name. So he was very confused, and he said, "What do you want me to do?" And I'm like, "Just write Merry Christmas on the photo, Bill. Merry Christmas, Bill." And then he finally gave in and just wrote Merry Christmas. And I was like, "Well, thank you, Mr. Shatner. It's very nice meeting an astronaut." That's that was my thing. That was the first time I met an astronaut, and that's how I am. I could give two shits. It's my uncle. It's my uncle that I care about, and I wanted to, he was the guy who said, "Hey, do you like these Star Wars movies? Episode 1 and 2?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do." as a young kid does. And he's like, there are more, right? And I was like, what? And they're better. I was like, no, they're not. You're kidding me. And that's the guy who introduced me to Star Wars. And so I decided as a Christmas gift to give him that autograph.
I'm still undecided what I want to get Shatner to get autographed. I've got a few Star Trek one sheets, and I've got I still have my original Star Trek the Motion Picture soundtrack album. I think that's probably going to be what I'm going to get autographed, but I don't know.
If I were to like meet anyone in like a convention, like celebrity wise, it would be like the Cobra Kai cast. You know what I mean?
Oh man, if they come to like Horror Hound or Cincinnati Comic Expo, I'm buying all of their autographs. I don't give a shit.
No, because what was it?
They were at Cincinnati either last year or the year before.
Were they? Because I didn't get any fucking word of that.
Actually, it was the 2020 show, and they all canceled.
Yeah, no.
That's such bullshit.
Was it Hawk and Tori were supposed to be at the Chicago Fan Expo that I was going to this year, but then they canceled. I was pissed
because Mark Singer was supposed to be at the Cincinnati show in 2020, then he ended up canceling, and yeah, that's the reason I was going to that show. Is the Beastmaster.
Oh, I don't care. Stingray is my least
He's
favorite
in V
character.
and a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah.
And you know what sucks though is.
But hey, real quick, let's close it down because it's going 3.5 hours.
Yeah, kids,
we're not talking about Scream anymore, and I do got to get to bed.
Yeah, and we can't drag Tom through Vegas again.
So
he just doesn't want me to tell that story again.
Well, actually, you know what, Tom? Do you want to?
Not particularly, but it's all right.
Maybe afterwards.
Real quick, sub to my new channel, Astro Skull Media, and if you don't, you're a homophobic bigot.
All right, I'll make
I
sure.
think if you're a
mod proper, and I'm bisexual, and if you don't subscribe to my channel, you are an actual bigot. So.
See, we're diverse. We have a bisexual person on our panel.
The token bi guy. Okay, thank you.
You're the bi guy who defends Scream 5.
It's like, I got a bi friend.
It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. You guys didn't make it easy, but I maintain that it's decent.
You kept your position, and that's fine. But it's a shit movie.
Yeah.
In your opinion.
In my opinion.
And that's okay. And also, fuck you for ruining the E-Tip debate. You fucking son of a bitch.
Hey. Easy now. It was just something. It was just something, man.
It was like, hey, I have this interview that you guys might be interested in. Killed the mood. I said it off stream, but I'm saying it on stream. You suck for that. but you know what? You're a nice guy, so okay.
Yeah. But I thank you guys, Tom, Mike, Runner, Justin. Thank you guys for being here. It was a great conversation. I do love hearing how you guys all thought about Scream because it's one of my favorite movie franchises. I absolutely love that first film. But sub to everybody on the panel. And I thank you guys for watching. Hell to the chat. Hell to everybody watching.
I would add one more thing.
Go ahead.
The Scream film reaction that we did on the Fandom Collective.
Oh, yes.
I think it's very relevant to the conversation.
Yes, go check that out.
You know what's funny? I was watching that premiere while I was watching the first Scream movie to prepare for this stream.
You were watching the first Scream movie, and then you watched that as well. And while we were bitching about the cake being in the sink, you were all like,
yeah, no, I'm watching the first Scream on 4K. I'm just laying in the couch and looking at my phone at times, and I'm watching this movie, and then I get a notification from the Fandom Collective saying, "Hey, Scream, a fan film reaction." So I check it out, and it was pretty funny. My only gripe was Rookie didn't invite me. No, I'm just kidding.
You didn't see any of the movies at the time.
What the fuck? Motherfucker, yes I have. I rewatched all of them.
But, thank you guys once again for being here. Check out that reaction. Thank you to everybody watching, everybody in the chat. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. And as always,
How you doing? Bitches
Scream
leave.
5 really sucks. Dumbass.